to, at this time, have everybody stand and we'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask you to remain standing. I'm going to ask for a moment of silence for a number of folks who serve the town in a wide variety of ways and fondly remembered here tonight. So Henry Bomber LeBombard, of course, former chief of police for many years. Daniel Ronska, former police officer. Lorraine Lawrence, Council on Aging volunteer, and she was also on that board and served as chairperson. John Antonuccio Sr., past fire commissioner. Frank Banish, past assistant foreman for the Southwick Water Department. Fred Hanks, previous selectman, economic development, library building project. Margot Dern, poll worker, volunteer at the public library, and served on the library board of trustees. And ask you to remember all of those folks. You may be seated. And I know people don't like to keep standing and sitting, but I am going to ask in a moment for a round of applause for anybody who is either current or current military duty or a veteran of any of our armed services, including the Coast Guard. And if they would like to stand, please do. So we can recognize you. That's great. And we thank you all for your service to our country. And as we read the headlines here, in our own time, we recognize the perilous world that we live in and the importance that our country is able to protect and defend itself. So we thank you to all of those folks, and certainly a shout out, if you will, to those that we will honor Memorial Day this week who paid the ultimate price for and passed on. So with that, I want to do a few introductions, and then we'll get into the warrant here. So just so you know who the cast of characters is across the stage here. On this side, the select board and town council and so forth. So starting on your right, Carl Steinhardt, chief administrative officer. Then Joe Deedy, Vice Chair of the Select Board, Russ Fox, Chair of the Select Board, Doug Moblin, the Clerk of the Select Board, then let me see, Ben Coyne, who is our Town Council, and Michelle Hill, who is our Town Clerk, Treasurer, and Collector. And then on my right, they scrambled them up just to confuse me, but Melinda Wingate, and Carol Delicassina, thank you. I'm seeing not in the script. And then our new town accountant, Laura Fletcher, and then Linda Baffel, Bob Barachek, and who is our vice chair, and Rich Bewley, who is our chair, and then Terry Mish, Charlie Condren, Mark Tunell on the Finance Committee. And again, they serve a very critical role in this town meeting process because they've been working on the budget that you will act on tonight since I believe sometime in December. Is that right? Starting from December and do a lot of the heavy lifting in January, February. So they've spent a lot of time participating in due diligence, hearing out the boards and various department heads on the budget items. So with that, I'm going to give you a list of people who are not residents of the town, but may sit on the floor of the town meeting for purposes of either participating, their official role, the folks up here on the stage, or may speak to a particular question. Unless they're up on the stage here with me, they ought to be in the non-voter section until we get to the particular article. So they are as follows. Michelle Hill, the treasurer collector, as I've said. Town Council Ben Coyle, David Riccardi, our police department chief, Detective Sergeant Landis, also Southwick Police Department, Chris Feria from the DPW, Jen Willard, Steve Fresnel from the Regional School District, Art Lawler, our building inspector, Cindy Sullivan, Council on Aging Director, Carol Del Castina, here she is now, and then Rich Hubbard and Aline Pederoy from the Franklin Land Trust. I believe they're up in the back corner. Thanks. Are there any other non-voters that are sitting here with us tonight that we need to get approved at this time? I've got one other name who may. Yes, ma'am.
I am the director of the Southwick Public Library.
Okay. Do you have that name? So, anybody else? With that, I'm going to ask for a motion to accept those people.
No move.
And second. All in favor of allowing those people to participate but not to vote in the town meeting, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed. So I think we've handled all of the preliminaries. I'm not going to go through kind of the ground rules for the meeting. I see a lot of familiar faces out there. If you're unfamiliar with anything and you think I've not followed proper procedure here, you can call a point of order, and we'll stop the meeting at that point, and we'll hear your point of order, and then I will rule on it. It's not beyond me to get to do something or take something out of order or something. So you're certainly welcome to do that. This is your meeting. I want to be sure that you're comfortable with the process and procedure, and you don't feel like it's being done in an improper sort of way. I would urge you. I'm going to kind of try to expedite some things, so go fairly crisp on a number of these articles. If at any time you feel like going too fast or you need more time or something like that, please speak up. But if I don't see hands raised on things, we're going to proceed along at a pretty good clip, because otherwise we could be here very late tonight. So again, I'm not doing that to take away your opportunity to participate. I'm doing that to kind of keep things moving here and make for an efficient meeting. So help me with the right pace of the meeting as we get through that. Now, one thing, I do have tellers appointed tonight, and if we have to count some votes, and I think there's several articles where that will be necessary, but it's a pet peeve with me. If you think that the vote was counted improperly here tonight, I want you to, before we go on to the next article, raise your hand and ask for the vote to be clarified right then and there. And I know I'm talking to the wrong people here, but don't wait till next week and call up the newspaper or the Pulse line or whatever and tell them that I was not counting the vote properly. The right time to deal with that is right here and now, not later on, and that is within your rights as citizens and town meeting participants to challenge the vote. So we need to do that here, not outside the meeting. So anything else we'll deal with as we go along. I know a lot of people think they've got great voices. They could go on, American Idol and and sing without a microphone, but we're going to try to use the microphones tonight. We've got these two great high school students here to help us with that. So they will run the microphone back to you. Fact of the matter is, probably 3/4 of us do not have a voice that's loud enough to be heard throughout the room without amplification. So wait a moment for the microphone to get to you and then speak. So with that, I think we have covered the preliminaries, and I'm going to again recognize Town Clerk Michelle Hill for the reading of the town meeting warrant.
Annual town election Tuesday, May 9, 2017, at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Southwick Town Hall, 454 College Highway for precincts 1, 2, and 3. Annual town meeting Tuesday, May 16, 2017, at 7 p.m. at the Southwick Regional High School, 93 Beacon Hills, in the auditorium. To either of the constables of the town of Southwick and the county of Hampden.
Mr. Moderator, I move that we dispense with reading the warrant in its entirety and act on the articles individually.
Do we have a second? Motion made and seconded to dispense with the reading of the entire warrant this time, act on each article individually. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no.
Given under our hands as said Southwick this 28th day of April, the year of our Lord 2017, signed by the Select Board, Russell S. Fox, Chairman, Doug Moglen, Vice Chairman, Joseph J. Dede, Clerk. Pursuant to the within warrant, I have notified and warned the inhabitants of the town of Southwick by posting up attested copies of the same at 3 public places in said town 7 days before the date hereof, as within directed. Signed by the Constable William Terry Jr. and myself, Michelle, Town Clerk.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And with that, we're going to go to the articles. Article 1 has already been disposed of. That was the annual town election last week, and so we can move on. I'm going to take Articles 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a group, unless I hear objection. They are housekeeping articles that we do every year. The first is to publish the annual town report, copies of which are out on the table. The third one is to instruct the select board to appoint minor officers. Article 4 is to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to sell or trade obsolete equipment. And the fifth one allows them to accept grants from other government entities, private entities, and so forth, and of course, doing business during the year. So Articles 2, 3, 4, and 5, do I have a motion to bring those onto the town meeting?
So moved.
And a second. Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion, question, or comment on Articles 2 through 5? Hearing none, yes, sir. Please rise and we'll get you a microphone.
Hello? I just have a quick question on...
If you, name and street, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Chris Vanassa. I live on Berkshire Ave in Southwick. Article 4 determines what is obsolete equipment before it needs to be sold or traded, and how does that process take place. I mean, I drive a car with like close to 200,000 miles on it, and it still does a good job for me.
The department heads will make recommendations to the selectmen, and then they would follow the statutes of the law on how things are disposed of, and sometimes they're bid out through the newspaper and they're advertised.
For being sold, traded, or which of those? And as far as following statutes, what statutes are written regarding, what is obsolete?
Chapter 30B sets forth the thresholds on how that works, and it's updated periodically by the state.
So in other words, there's a criteria set out by the state for what constitutes obsolete equipment?
Yep, and how it's disposed of.
Okay, thank you.
Am I correct that that's a public process, that it has to be, any things put out to bid have to be publicly announced, and it's a transparent process? Is that fair to say? Anything else on Articles 2 through 5? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed say no. Carried by majority. Article 6, also a housekeeping article, but requires a 2/3 vote, so I'm going to handle it separately. To see if the town will vote to authorize the town treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, to issue bonds, notes, and certificates of indebtedness for a period of not more than 2 years in accordance with Massachusetts general laws, or take any other action requested by the Select Board. Again, I'll take a motion and a second. Any discussion on Article 6? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Carried unanimously. Now we're on to Article 7, and I am not going to read all of these articles in their entirety tonight. We'll basically kind of give you a summary. The Finance Committee Chair, for those which involve money, will give you a line item total, and there are copies of the warrant available to you. We go forward on the presumption that you have read these articles and have them in front of you. So, Article 7, to see if the town will appropriate $238,000 or any other amount to pay costs of purchasing and equipping a full-size, multi-use dump truck for the use of the Department of Public Works, and for the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto. To determine whether this amount shall be raised by taxation, transfer from available funds, borrowing, or otherwise, or to take any other action. And that's requested by the Select Board. And what's the Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends Article 7 in the amount of $238,000 for a full-size truck.
So, can we get an explanation on the dump truck, please? Okay, Randy's going to do that, okay?
Randy Brown, 95 Fred Jackson Road, DPW Director. We're looking to replace a 1996 GMC Top Kick. It has 85,000 plus miles on it. These vehicles are used for snow plowing and general heavy equipment, removing of sand, stone, rock, whatever we need to move. This truck is aging. It's 20 plus years old. Has issues with electrical, rust, brakes, and a dump body. We're looking at putting about $9,000 into that truck if we have to keep it on the road. So at this point, we'd like to replace that truck with a new vehicle.
Thank you, Randy. At this time, we've got 3 articles here that have a typo in them. And because they involve borrowing, we need to formally amend them. And you're going to get a kick out of the, why we're amending it, because it's literally a matter of one letter. So at this time, I'm going to recognize the Chair of the Board of Selectmen to amend Article 7. instructed that we need to read the motion, and so we will do that, and then we will amend the motion, and just bear with us as we go through this. So, the motion that the sum of $238,000 is appropriated to pay costs of purchasing and equipping a full-size, multi-use dump truck for the use of the Department of Public Works, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the selectmen, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to Massachusetts general laws or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore. Any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, and here's the typo, should be or, pursuant to any other vote of the town heretofore adopted, less any such premium applied to the payment of the cost of issuance of such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. Would you make a motion, Mr. Chairman?
So moved.
And is there a second from the Finance Committee?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Now the amendment, please.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to amend Article 7. I, Russell S. Fox, do hereby make a motion to amend the printed motion section of Article 7 for the purpose of correcting typographical errors as follows. The 6th line of the motion, delete the word "are" and replace it with "or." The remaining language of the article in motion to remain unchanged.
Okay. So now we have an amendment to the article. We have to vote the amendment before we can proceed on the article. Is there any question about the amendment? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. We're changing "our" to "or." All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Okay, so the article is now amended and is open for discussion. A question or a comment on Article 7 as amended? Yes, sir. Please rise and we'll get a microphone to you. Young lady, could we get a microphone back there?
Brian Keys, Mortifying Road. So is this about the whole, the 200,000 for the car, or is it about the amendment?
No, you're on the main article, so you're welcome to speak, sir.
So for the $9,000 to repair the vehicle, how long will that increase the life of it? Of the current vehicle that you're trying to replace?
I mean, we need, just to keep it on the road, and we need about $9,000 immediate work, but who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of months, and we'll keep that, after every year.
How many hours a year do you use the vehicle?
How many hours a year?
Yeah, isn't that how the engine's rated?
Well, it's by miles. It's 85,000 miles.
So how many miles do you guys do a year on it?
Well, just do simple math, about 20 years old, 20-year-old vehicle. That's 85 divided by 20, that's about 15,000 miles. No,
I don't know.
3,000 miles?
Sorry.
4,000 miles?
But I guess my question is, I mean, if the vehicle's working and it requires only $9,000, why wouldn't we do that first?
We sunk in a lot of money into this vehicle just to keep it to this point as it is today. This vehicle cannot continue to stay on the road.
So it can't be, so the $9,000 is not going to fix the vehicle to work?
I did say that the immediate work would be $9,000 just to keep it on the road. But like I mentioned, there's issues with the rust, transmission, brakes. Those are all going to fail at some point. It's a 20-year-old vehicle.
That's fine. Just, I guess I don't understand why we spend $9,000. My question.
Other discussion on Article 7? Question or comment? Yes, sir, down here. Thank you, Nathan. If you would use the microphone, sir.
J. Randy's Foster Road. Is there going to be a maintenance program on that truck with that
that purpose. Randy, you want to
Or
respond?
better maintenance program than there is now. Where you have mechanics periodically repair things more expediently than you do.
I think we have a pretty good maintenance program. I think the point is, it's a 20-year-old vehicle. It's met its useful life. We need to take it off the road. If you want to stop by our DPW garage, take a look at our equipment, I'd be more than willing to show you around. I think we do a very good job of keeping up their equipment.
Right, I'm just asking for the new vehicle. Is there going to be a truck with 85,000 miles? Nike trucks, 150, 200, 250,000 miles. And I drive them very hard.
We do have a comprehensive maintenance that we do follow for the manufacturer's recommendations.
Okay, other discussion on Article 7? Yes, sir. Up here in the center, Jack, please.
Well, it's interesting in this article here that right away there's an issue that goes right back to the question I asked about Article 4, which was authorizing the board to sell or trade obsolete equipment or take any action relative thereon. This 85,000 miles and $9,000 worth of repair versus a $280,000 tap for a new truck. How does that, go to the issue of what the statutes say for determining obsolete equipment and such? I agree with this gentleman here. I mean, for a DPW vehicle, and I got to commend you guys for stand-up job in our time, clearing our roads, and I think pretty much the services here in town from the DPW are excellent. And I see most of the vehicles going up and down the road a lot, and they seem to be in pretty decent shape. And I don't know which truck exactly it is you're referring to, but for, a difference of $274,000, that's keeping this one and being able to trade it in for a new one. I was wondering if any of the selectmen could help me out on whether or not they think that falls within the parameters of what is considered obsolete equipment according to the statutes that the gentleman on the right referred to.
So the question, Russ, I believe is...
I don't know if it's the town administrator that cited that statute for,
Either you or Carl. The question, I believe, sir, and I'm going to paraphrase just so they can address it, is whether the truck that's being replaced will be disposed of under the Article 6 or Article 5, I guess it was, that we previously discussed.
I'm sorry, it doesn't say replace, it's just, that article just deals with how the old equipment is dealt with?
Yes.
Okay, so the town would be acting on whether or not to purchase a new one based on recommendations of the DPW?
Correct. The Public Works Director would go through the state procurement process to acquire the new one, and as part of that process, it'll either be a trade-in, and if it's not done as a trade-in, that will go through the selectmen's process to be surplused and then bid out.
I see, okay. Well, that sounds like a good way to do it, and I'm sure, that's all about the board and everything. I don't know, I mean, to me, that just seems like a great disparity for a vehicle that only has 85,000 miles on it for the time to prop up.
All right, other discussion on Article 7? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. It does require a 2/3 vote here since borrowing might be involved. So all in favor of Article 7 as amended, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed, say no. No. All right, I am going to ask my tellers to help us count here. So if the tellers would rise. And I'm going to ask all of those in favor of Article 7 to please raise their hands and keep them up until I indicate that you can take them back down. how many?
27.
27 on the left-hand stage. Chris, oh, still counting? And Michael?
25, sir.
25, thank you. Chris?
61.
61, thank you. Those voting no, please raise your hands and keep them there. Charlie, what do you got?
3.
3. And Michael?
8, sir.
How many?
8.
8. And Chris?
15.
15. Somebody will probably correct my arithmetic, but it's a clear 2/3 vote. 113 for, 26 opposed. It is passed by a 2/3 vote. Thank you, counters. Let's go to Article 8. We're going to go through kind of a similar process with this. This time I'm going to read the motion and not the article. That the sum of $400,000 is appropriated to pay costs of upgrading and rehabilitating the College Highway and North Long Yard Road pump stations, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the selectmen, is authorized to borrow a set amount under and pursuant to Massachusetts general laws, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore. Any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, again, we're going to amend the word or pursuant to any other vote of the town heretofore adopted, less any such premium applied to the payment of costs of issuance of such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. The treasurer is further authorized to obtain all or any portion of this borrowing through the United States Department of Agriculture. The amount authorized to be borrowed by this vote shall be reduced to the extent of any grants received by the town on account of this project. This is requested by the Water Commissioner. I'm going to ask for the Finance Committee recommendation and then a motion. Rich.
The Finance Committee recommends the $400,000 purchase, and furthermore, moves the motion in Article 8.
Okay, and can I get a second? Okay. So Article 8 is before you, and now the amendment, please.
Mr. Monarch, I, Russell S. Fox, do hereby make a motion to amend the printed motion section of Article 8 for the purpose of correcting typographical errors as follows. The sixth line of motion, delete the word "are" and replace it with "or." The remaining language of the article in motion to remain unchanged.
And that is a motion to amend. Is there a second? Second. Okay. Motion made and seconded. Is there a question on the amendment? We're changing "our" to "or." Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed, say no. Okay. So now we can act on Article 8 as amended. Is there a representative here of the Water Commission? Okay. The DPW, head of our DPW is going to comment. It's the Water
Randy Brown, 95 Fred Jackson Road, DPW Director. So we're looking to upgrade 2 of our water pump stations. We have 2 interconnections with our emergency supply with Springfield Water and Sewer. 2 pump stations are on College Highway and North Long Yard Road. Both stations were built at the same time, about 26 years ago. Everything is original, built to the original construction. What we're looking to do is replace the pumps, motors, and controls under this contract. The building themselves are still in good condition. We're not looking to change the building, just the internal components inside the pump station.
Okay, thank you for the explanation. Now we're open for discussion on Article 8. Down here.
David Gunn, 2 Hickory Lane. Randy, just a clarification, is this freshwater supply pumping stations or are these sewer pumping stations?
Water.
Thank you.
Other discussion on Article 8? Gentleman over here, Michael Smith.
Yes, sir. Michael Smith, 75 Hillside Road. Mr. Director, we probably correct to assume that this work's been bid out and negotiated for prices and all that kind of stuff.
No, there has been no bidding done yet. This is to appropriate money so we can move forward with the bidding process, the design and bidding process.
Other discussion on Article 8 as amended? Question or comment? Okay, I don't see any. Again, requires a 2/3 vote, so we'll try it first by voice. All in favor of Article 8, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. And that's carried unanimously. Article 9, and it's going to be the same procedure again. So I'll read you the motion that the sum of $3,260,000 is appropriated to pay costs of the College Highway water main replacement project, so-called, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the selectmen, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to Massachusetts general laws, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town. Any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, again, this word will be amended, or pursuant to any other vote of the town heretofore adopted, unless any such premium applied to the payment of costs of issuance of such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. Treasurer is further authorized to obtain all or any portion of this borrowing to the United States Department of Agriculture. The amount authorized to be borrowed by this vote shall be reduced to the extent any grants received by the town on account of this project requested by the Water Commissioner. Is there a Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends the sum of $3,260,000 be appropriated to College Highway water main replacement project and moves the motion.
Now, Amen.
Mr. Monitor, I, Russell S. Fox, do hereby make a motion to amend the printed motion section of Article 9 for the purpose of correcting typographical errors as follows. The 6th line of motion, delete the word "are" and replace it with "or." The remaining language of the article of motion to remain unchanged.
And a second. Okay. So we have an amendment before you. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. I have a question. Okay, sir. We'll get the microphone for you.
Ryan Peasmore, Vining. What section of College Highway is this happening on?
Well, we're doing the amendment first, so just stay right there, and we'll get to you in a moment. But we've got to vote the amendment first. Just you can stay standing. You'll be the first to speak. So, all in favor of the amendment changing "our" to "or"? Please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. All right. So now we're discussing the amended Article 9, and sir, you have the floor.
Ryan Peasmore, Vining. What section of College Highway are they doing this in?
And Jack, I would just keep the microphone there with Randy.
Very popular guy.
Randy Brown, 95 Fed Jackson Road, DPW Director. So we're looking to replace the water line at College Highway from Tannery Road to the Westville Town Line. It's a little over a mile of pipe. This is an existing 10-inch cast iron main. It represents the main feed from our sprinkler water sewer emergency connection into town. This main has been prone to breaks and leaks over the past few years, and it does need to be replaced. So we're looking for replacement of that water line from Tannery Road to the Westville Town Line.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Other discussion on the amended Article 9? Dave Gunn.
to Hickory Lane. Is the cost of this to be borne by all the taxpayers in the town of Southwick, or any other funding that can come in, or is it just to the water users in the town of Southwick?
This will be paid for by the water users.
Thank you.
Other discussion on Article 9? Okay, yes, sir. It's a microphone back to Mr. Smith.
Mr. Director, please repeat your answer to that last question.
And the question is, repeat the answer to the last question.
Or repeat, this probably paid for by the water users, through their water retained earnings accounts.
Anything else on the amended Article 9? Seeing none, requires a 2/3 vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. And that's carried unanimously. The next article is Article 10, and it is the fiscal 2017-18 budget for the various town departments and boards and so forth. You should have a green document that you either picked up on the table outside, or maybe at the election last week. We'll work from that. And we, for a number of years, have gone section by section, gone through a section, taken a vote, and then gone through a section, then discussed it, and then go on to the next section. It just keeps us from an excessive amount of page flipping and back and forth from various and sundry departments. And so we'll do the same thing tonight. I'll try to keep you grounded as to where we are in the document. So if you turn to the third piece of paper in there, and it's a spreadsheet, and up at the top, it says general fund, okay? So a lot of numbers. And down at the bottom, it says page 1. And the number that you are voting on tonight is what's over in the far right column. So the column that says FinCom FY 2018 budget. The other numbers are there for comparison, context, and so forth, but you're not taking any action on those. Various line items are listed down the left-hand side, as you would expect with a budget type document. So the first area that, or the first set of budgets that we're going to act on are what is referred to as the general government accounts. So I'm not going to read numbers to you. I'm just going to kind of flip down through here as to what the boards and departments that are involved. So moderator at the top of the page, then the selectmen categories, the chief administrative officer categories, reserve fund down towards the bottom of the page, finance committee at the very bottom of the page, flipping to page 2, continues on with the finance committee, reserve for wage negotiations. Those of you who were here for the special earlier, we transferred some money out from that from the current year to handle negotiated wage changes. Then the accounting department, then the municipal audit, then the assessors department, then over to page 3, town clerk, salaries, operation, capital, legal, ads, and operations, flipping over to page 4, labor negotiations, tax title, then election and registration, then in the middle of the page, conservation commission, the very bottom, starting with the planning board accounts, page 5, continues with the planning board, then the board of appeals, economic development, then computer operations, turning to page 6, computer capital, then the town hall salaries and operations take up most of page 6, and then we wrap up this general line item category with town hall's capital and the printing expense for the annual town report in the middle of page 7. So the requested amount there for total general government in all of those categories is $2,184,445. And with that, I'll call on the Finance Committee for their recommendation.
The Finance Committee recommends general expenses of $2,184,445.
Okay, does the finance or the board of selectmen, select board, wish to comment on any of those categories before we open it? No? Okay. So, questions and comments on anything between pages 1 and 7? Questions? Somebody says there's a hand raised in the back.
Say items 1 through 7?
Pages 1 through 7, yeah.
I have one, the labor negotiation fee.
What page are you on, sir?
Page 4,
Okay,
top item.
thank you.
Negotiator fee of $14,000, $14,400. Isn't that what we hired our selectmen to do for us?
The labor negotiation is a labor attorney, and they don't provide the same services as the town attorney up on the stage here, and they're used for collective bargaining issues, grievances, all sorts of personnel benefits and management issues, so it's a necessary function for a public entity to have.
Other discussion on general government pages 1 through 7? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call for the vote. All of these require a majority vote. When we get all done, we're going to do a reconciliation measure. The chair of the Finance Committee will take us through that, where we match the appropriation or the expenditures with the appropriation. So we'll vote several times. Again, the line item amount is $2,184,445. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. That's carried unanimously. We're going to go on to public safety, starting in the middle of page 7. So the police salaries are there, then other police accounts on page 8. Then dispatcher on page 9. And then we have constables kind of 2/3 of the way down the page. Then we begin fire salaries, and then on to page 10, fire operations capital, and we go into public safety building operation capital at the bottom of page 10. Then on 11, building inspector salaries, operations capital, then emergency management salaries, operations capital. Over to page 12, we have animal control salaries, operations capital. Then towards the middle of the page, lake management salary, operations capital, and lake restoration operations. Total public safety, and the requested amount is $2,953,949. And again, what's the finance committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends the appropriation for public safety of $2,953,949.
Okay, so we're open for discussion on any of those items, public safety items, between pages 7 and 12. Gentlemen, over here.
Hold on.
Got it.
Brian Peasmore, buddy. I'm just concerned that the town of, 9,500 residents is spending $900,000 on police salaries. Like, why is it so high? It seems like a very large number. We don't have an answer.
Well, no, we're going to get an answer for you. Somebody needs to speak to it. So, Chief of Police David Riccardi, so if we can get the microphone up to him.
I also noticed too on the other budget, they were spending like $60,000 on uniforms. Is that correct too?
Well, let's do one question at a time. So let's take the police department question first.
Brian, the salaries are all contractual, like the bargaining.
How many officers do we have? I don't know.
I have 17 full-time officers, and right now 10 part-time officers.
So 27 people,
That's what it has to be.
$1 million.
That's what it is. And we're on the middle scale.
I don't know what that means. You have to elaborate.
I've got to give you the answer, that's what it is.
What is the build scale?
Oh, like other towns probably.
I guess that's all I have. I mean, I don't, I'm just curious about why it was so high. It just seems like an excessively large number.
Okay, you had a second question about another category, Brian.
Yeah, I noticed in the items, they talk about, and I'm sure it's part of the collective bargaining.
What page are you on now? And which category?
Uniform allowance?
Okay. So that's on page 12, and it's $570, right?
I think I was looking at a different one then. I'm not, that's fine, we can not talk about that right now. I don't have the information in front of me. I'll have to find that.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments on public safety, pages 7 through 12? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Carried unanimously. So we're going to start again with Public Works on the top of page 13. So gas and oil, which is the obvious probably, but for various town fleet vehicles. Then DPW, Highway Division, salaries, operations, capital. And over to page 14. Winter road salaries, operations, then street lighting, then road machinery operations, capital, engineering division operations, capital, chapter 90 division, and then at the very top of page 15, DPW solid waste salaries and operations and capital, for a grand total of the public works, pages 13 through 15, of $1,675,475. And again, we'll take the finance committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends the appropriation of $1,675,475 for public works.
Okay, questions or comments on Public Works, pages 13 through 15? Okay, yes, sir, we got a question up here.
Yeah, Chris Nuss, Berkshire Avenue again. I see for DPW road machinery operations, repairs inspection, $40,000. Could Randy go into what some of those might entail? You know, minus the $9,000 we're not spending to repair the dump truck.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, you got it.
The item is just what it says for, repairs and inspections. We have a fleet of about 30 vehicles in our fleet, and also all of our departments, and that's the money we use to make those repairs. We don't have the capability to do a lot of, I'd say, heavy equipment repairs in-house. We do light maintenance repairs, but we can't, anything that requires more mechanical work, we don't have the capability to do those repairs in-house. So
Okay.
So we can sub that out to a local shop.
So of the 40,000 that are estimated or so forth, what would constitute the bulk of the 40,000?
Any type of repair, I mean, it could be brake
So
work,
what-
electrical, it could be anything that goes wrong with these things.
Okay, so why are you seeing fit to repair these other vehicles, but the 280,000 dump truck, not so much?
We want to have a maintenance, a plan where we can rotate equipment out of the fleet as it ages. And that's the reason for that first article was to take that equipment out of fleet rotation.
So those other vehicles are worthy of repair, in other words,
Yeah.
versus replacement. Okay.
We do have a list of vehicles that we're looking to replace down the road. We have a 5-year plan, but that's on the list this year.
Okay, anything else on public works? Seeing none, I'm going to call up, lady up here, so Maggie, you got to run all the way around to the other side of the room now. Okay. We'll get to you next. We're going to take the lady over here first.
Deborah Herron, Shore Road. I have a question on the salt and the sand used for the roads. My question is, how is this extra salt that we're using, that I read about in the newspaper, affecting the roads and the lakes?
So just for reference, that's a category under winter road operations at the top of page 14. So if we could get the microphone back to Randy for an explanation on sand and other salt and other use.
Yeah, so Randy Brown, 95 Brad Jackson. So as you mentioned, we do have a line item here for salt and sand usage, which we use. We use mostly sand or salt to treat the roads in the wintertime. This past year, we made a transition to use mostly salt as opposed to using a sand salt mix. And it's not necessarily the volume of salt that you use, it's the process, it's the timing. And we actually we are utilizing less salt as a result of the new process that we have. If I remember correctly, one run of each dump truck has, we have 5 dump trucks, each truck has a run. And I believe prior to this year, we were using, I think, 13 tons of salt per run. We're using now 9 tons of salt per run.
How is that accomplished, Randy?
As I mentioned, it's the process, it's the timing. It's not necessarily how much the quantity, it's the timing. So we're doing more pre-treatment than we're doing in the past. So we're being proactive in terms of keeping the roads clear, as opposed to waiting till the snow starts and then putting salt and sand on top of that. It's a process.
Okay, thank you.
And then there was a question up here behind you, Jan. Yes.
Yeah, Clarence Crosler, Congamon Road. Just a question about the salary on solid waste salary, $144,700. Is that one person, the solid waste salary?
Let's get the microphone back to Randy. Is anybody else
We have 3 operators at the solid waste division, so 3 full-time operations that their salary comes out of that line item.
Other discussion on public works? Okay, you've got to put your hands up because if you're just saying, I need to be able to see you and recognize you. So go
My name is
ahead,
Kim Jenks, I live on 62nd Street, and a record Deb said, we had so much salt in our streets this year, I could not even walk my dogs. It was wet the whole season, even without snow. Even without ice. It's like they came up and dumped the truck. It was horrible. 2nd Street, 3rd Street, and 4th Street around South Town was terrible.
Okay, any other discussion? Raise your hands high so I can see them, please. Okay, gentlemen over here.
With the new truck, are you guys gonna go to like a liquid option for like they do in Granby instead of using salt, where they put down like a liquid?
We're using a pre-treated salt, so it's a liquid magnesium that's coated around the salt.
Are you guys looking to go to more environmentally friendly options? Like not using salt at all, using like alternatives?
Salt is the most effective method that we've used, that we utilize in most communities. I mean, I can't think of any community that doesn't use salt at this point, or treated salt.
Okay, I will give the lady a follow-up.
Randy, I'm sure you looked at the studies on how the salt affects our roadways, et cetera. My question again is about the lakes. I know we're using less, but we're using a great deal of at-home treatment. So I'm wondering how much of that gets into the lakes, because we are seeing the roads staying covered for quite some time.
I don't know if that was a question, but I mean, like I said, we are using less salt than we have in the past, and that's based on per run, and that's a number, 13 tons versus 9 tons.
But do other towns have lakes to be concerned about?
I'm sure they do. I'll be honest with you, if you look at Quabbin Reservoir, that supplies drinking water to greater Boston area, Boston, it's the agency that runs that Quabbin Reservoir. They had asked all the surrounding communities to use treated salt and not use sand. So this is a proven method that's utilized. It's gaining popularity throughout the state. I don't think the process is going to change. This is what we're utilizing this year, and I think it'll work out very well for us.
All right, how long has this treatment been used by other communities?
I mean, I think I know some other towns that use it for 10 plus years.
Okay, I am going to shut the discussion off. You had more than 2 follow-ups to the original comment. Any other discussion on this section of the budget? Seeing none, I am going to call the vote. Again, the line item total for Public Works is $1,675,475. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. That's carried unanimously. Next category is pretty short. Sewer implementation and operations, categorized as total other environmental for the amount of $2,948. Go ahead.
Finance Committee recommends the expenditure of $2,948 for other environmental.
Any discussion there? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Next section, starting in the middle of page 15, going several pages here, culture and recreation. So the first 2 categories there are cemetery salaries and operations. Flipping the page, their capital account, then Board of Health salaries, operations, capital, and Council on Aging salaries, operations, capital. Then the Veterans Agent there at the middle of the line, and total for human services, $296,186, and there's the Finance Committee recommendation.
The Finance Committee recommends appropriation of $296,186 for human services.
I think I read the wrong category for that, but you know what's in there. We're open for discussion under human services. Question or comment? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. Again, a line item total $296,186. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Unanimously. Now we're over to culture and recreation, I believe. And so at the top of page 17, library salaries, operations, and capital, followed by park and rec salaries. Moving over to page 18, park and rec operations, capital, and then cultural council operations, historical operations, channel 15 salaries, which is the community access channel on cable, and on the bottom, or on the top of page 19, channel 15 operations and capital. Total for culture and recreation $561,283. And what is the Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends the appropriation of $561,283 for cultural recreation.
Okay, so pages 15 through 19, those categories. Any questions or comments? Yes, gentleman back here. And if you could just indicate, what
Sure,
page
section.
and what category we're under.
Page 17, library salaries.
Okay.
I see the librarian salary is 61,000, the assistant librarian salary is 49,000, and then you have part-time salaries totaling 135,000. How is it that the salaries for the combined part-time workforce is more than the two main representatives of the library? Can anybody answer that? And do we rely on volunteer efforts for that, or all these people are paid for part-time hours? What are their hours? How many are there?
I'm going to recognize Mike McMahon.
Michael McMahon, 31, and I'm chairman of the Library Board of Trustees. The way the town operates is almost no one is full-time. There's 7 part-timers and they work 18 hours a week, so the town pays no benefits. No sick time, no vacation time, no holidays, no nothing. And 2 full-time employees, which are the library director and assistant. Everyone else is part-time.
Right, that's right.
And then they do use volunteers, both high school students and adults.
So 7 employees, each averaging 18 hours a week, 135,000?
They actually spend less than 135, but you have to check the town account level. That's not what you've actually spent.
Appreciate it.
Okay, other discussion under culture and recreation. Okay? I don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to call the vote. Again, the line item total there is $561,283. All in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say no. Unanimously. Next category is fixed costs, so the principal on the debt, the interest on the debt, that's page 19, and over to page 20, the employee benefits costs for the various town employees, the casualty insurance for the various town operations, and so the line item total here is $1,782,627 for debt, interest, and insurance. Finance Committee recommendation.
The Finance Committee recommends the appropriation of $1,782,627 for principal interest and employee benefits.
Okay, open for discussion on those categories. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. Again, you've got the line item total in front of you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. And that's carried unanimously. So the grand total for general government, before we move on to the enterprises, is $9,456,913. You voted those incrementally, and you have an opportunity here in a moment to pass it on, to vote on an omnibus authorization. So the next several categories, for lack of better descriptions, actually come up at least once tonight. These are enterprises that are separate from the town government, and they're basically funded by user fees. So the first one is the water department. Those of us who are on the public water supply pay for that. That money is used to fund this budget. General tax revenues are not used to fund this budget. Not used. And so you'll see the same with the sewer and EMP budgets as well. So water department budget is on page 21. Flows a lot like some of the others you've seen. elected salaries to the Water Commission, salaries, operations, page 22, capital, debt, interest, the salary reserve for this department, enterprise, and the employee benefits, which is Medicare, and grand total in this category is $1,696,261. What's your recommendation?
Finance Committee recommending appropriation $1,696,261 for the water department.
So open for discussion, water enterprise, pages 21 and 22. Everybody there? Okay, we'll take the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed, say no. Carried unanimously. On page 23, you have the sewer division, same explanation. So those who are on the municipal sewer system pay user fees, and that money funds this budget. No tax dollars involved with the rest. So again, same general category: salaries, operations, capital, salary reserve, and the principal and interest on the debt. The line item, the total of all those line items was $1,471,963. What's the Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends the appropriation of $1,471,960 for the sewer fund.
Okay, so discussion on page 23, sewer enterprise. Question or comment? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? $1,471,963. Please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Carried unanimously. So the last item here is the EMS enterprise, and I'll let the chief correct me if I'm wrong, but several years ago it was recognized that many of us who have employer provided insurance that will pay for ambulance calls, and so the town does bill for those folks who have insurance, gets the reimbursement, the money goes into this enterprise and is available for appropriation. Is that basically correct?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Again, same structure: salaries, operations, capital, and a salary reserve. Grand total of $700,908. And what's the Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends the appropriation of $700,908 for emergency medical services.
Any discussion on the EMS enterprise? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. So I'll turn it over to the chair of the Finance Committee for the omnibus budget recommendation and vote at this time.
The Finance Committee recommends that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,568,983 and appropriate and transfer from free cash $930,000 and appropriate and transfer from the cable TV the sum of $30,000 and appropriate and transfer from the sale of lots $6,800 and appropriate and transfer from recycling grant the sum of $6,000 and appropriate and transfer from overlay surplus the sum of $50,000 and appropriate and transfer from sewer capital account the sum of $17,000 and appropriate and transfer from sewer retained earnings the sum of $151,000 and appropriate and transfer from water retained earnings the sum of $566,261, a grand total of $13,346,044, which represents the general fund budget in the amount of $9,456,913. The water fund budget of $1,696,963, $1,261,261, sewer budget of $1,471,962, and the medical service budget of $700,908.
So I'm going to, there's a lot of numbers there, Rich, and I'm just going to try to summarize it, and you and the town accountant would correct me if I'm incorrect. But basically, all of those amounts that you have approved in the last half an hour, 45 minutes, budget amounts, that embraces all of those numbers, so those numbers, and then provides for where the funding for those amounts will come from. It's a balanced budget, so the expenditures would equal the appropriation. Is that a fair description?
Yes.
And appropriations and transfer. So all you're doing is basically doing one vote now to reconfirm everything you've done on the last 10 or so votes with the budget articles. So with that, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor of the motion as presented by the FinCom chair, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Carried unanimously. So now we're back to the warrant, the agenda, if you will, and we're at Article 11 on page 3. And revolving accounts, and my compliments to the accounting department and the selectmen's office. They, a few years ago, put all of the revolving accounts into one article, one table here, where you folks could kind of see all of them in one place, what they are and what the amounts involved are. And so the motion is that the town reestablish revolving funds for certain town departments as authorized under the Massachusetts general laws for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017, with the specific receipts credited to each fund for the fiscal year as follows. So they're neatly laid out there at the bottom of page 3 and top of page 4. So let's just take the boat ramp revolving fund there. For those of us who have boats or docks, pay an annual fee for a sticker. The money goes into this account, not into the general coffers of the town, and it becomes available in the following year to the Lake Management Committee for them to use in their operation. So it's a revolving fund. It can't be used for other purposes, so you can't take the boat money and use it in the Council on Aging or vice versa. So it's revolving funds. These were not covered under the previous budget resolution because there's, again, the tax monthlies or user fees that various of us pay for different things. So I've read the motion. I'm not going to outline the individual categories. That's requested by the select board. The grand total over there in the middle of page 4 is $215,000, and I will ask for a finance committee recommendation.
The finance committee recommends the appropriation of $215,000 for the various revolving accounts. Expenditures hazmat, boat ramp, harbor master, local lake committee, custodian, COA, and COA passes.
Okay, open for discussion on Article 11. Question or comment? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of Article 11 as presented and recommended to you, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed say no. Carried unanimously. Article 12 is a revolving fund bylaw to see if the town will vote pursuant to the provisions of Massachusetts general laws as most recently amended to amend the general bylaws of the Code of the Town of Southwick and add a new Chapter 25 Departmental Revolving Fund bylaw as follows. And that is specified there at the bottom of page 4. So it's specifies purpose, expenditure limitations, interest, procedures, and reports. Then over to 5, it basically gives you that table that you just did the annual reauthorization for, so the various revolving funds that the town of Southwick has. That goes over to the middle of page 6. As requested by the select board. Is the finance committee going to recommend on that, Rich? Sure. No. Do I have a motion? And a second. Motion made and seconded. Town council, or somebody want to offer a brief recommendation as to why we're on council?
Sure. As you'll see, that this warrant article is very similar to the previous warrant article. The Municipal Modernization Act required that municipalities now authorize revolving funds via a bylaw rather than through a warrant article. There may be a delay in the Attorney General approving the warrant article and the new bylaw. So the recommendation from the Massachusetts Department of Revenue was to vote it in both ways this year, so that in the future we won't have to establish a bylaw again. We'll only be essentially voting on what is now Article 13.
Okay, and so fair to say it's a procedural issue here.
Yes.
To make sure that the will of the town meeting can be taken into account.
Yes.
So Article 12, motion made and seconded, open for discussion. Any questions there? The adoption of a bylaw requires a majority vote. If I don't see a hand raised, we're going to do a vote. All in favor of Article 12, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. So now we're going to do Article 13, which I suspect has a similar explanation. Article 13, spending limits for revolving funds. To see if the town will vote to set the limits on the revolving funds set forth in Chapter 25 of the Code of the Town of Southwick in accordance with Massachusetts general laws, as most recently amended, as follows, or take any other action relative thereto. Again, those same revolving accounts are specified there with an annual limit on expenditure. That's the annual limit.
Correct.
So that's requested by the select board. And again, I'll take a motion and a second. Motion made and seconded. I want to do a brief explanation on that.
Under the new amended statute, the town has to authorize the spending limits each year for each of the revolving funds that you just established in the bylaw under your vote under Article 12. So from this point forward, unless there's another change to the law, we'll just be having this particular bylaw in future years authorizing the spending limits on an annual basis.
Okay, so again, another procedural thing based on the modernization.
Correct.
All right. So any discussion on Article 13? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Renewal of the cable franchise agreement. The fund to begin operation for fiscal year 2018 begins on July 1, 2017, and further to authorize the accounting officer of the town to transfer any balance to said PEG access and cable-related fund at the beginning of the fiscal year 2018, as requested by the select board. Is there a finance committee? No. Okay. So do I have a motion? And a second. Motion made and seconded. Again, surely we need an explanation.
It's the same as the other three, Mr. Moderator. This is another legal compliance issue with the State Department of Revenue, and it's to ensure that the funds that are in the Channel 15 PEG revolving fund are set up as a revolving fund, and they're voted out each year as line items in our budget going forward.
So I'm going to ask a question. Maybe I should know this. What's PEG stand for?
Public Education and Government Channel. And it's your Channel 15, you're scrolling. Dennis Clark is running that operation now, and he's modernizing it, and he's always looking for volunteers if people want to help him out.
Okay. Any discussion on Article 14? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. That's carried unanimously. So, Article 15, again, there will be an amendment in a moment here to Article 15, a little bit more substantive amendment than to the typos that we dealt with previously. So bear with us. Let me read the motion first, and then we'll get it onto we'll get a recommendation and onto the floor. So the motion is to see if the town will vote to set up a budgeted reserve from the Community Preservation Fund annual revenues, the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation in fiscal year 2018, with each item to be considered a separate reserve. And then the proposed FY 2018 reserves are $42,409 for open space, $42,409 for historic resources, $42,409 for community housing, and then $293,496 for the unreserved fund. So those are the recap for you in the middle of the page. There's a reconciliation of the town amount and the state match amount there, and the map is explained to you in kind of footnotes there at the bottom, and that's requested by the Community Preservation Committee. And just because, for sake of entertaining the amendment, what's the Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends that the town vote to authorize the Community Preservation Reserve in the amount of $424,019, in detail as read by the moderator.
Okay, so now, Mr. Chairman, are you going to amend? Somebody's going to, or the CPC is going to amend? Okay, Dennis, you're going to make the amendment?
Yeah, the total does not change. It was just a little clerical error. To reserve, 42,409 will be changed to 42,402 for open space. To reserve, 42,409 will be changed to 42,402 for historical resources. To reserve, 42,409 will be changed to 42,402 for the housing, community housing. And the last one, to reserve, 293,496 be changed to 296,813 for general unreserved funds.
And just for reference, so that the numbers actually that are recapped down below are actually correct.
They are
It's
corrected.
in the motion
Yes.
that they're in.
That's
So we're
correct.
correcting the motion. So I'm going to take that as a motion to amend. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. So let's vote on the amendment unless there's a question or a comment, and then we'll discuss the article as amended. Any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, all in favor of the amendment, please. Oh, okay. So, Dennis, I'm told that down at the bottom of the motion, we should strike where it says estimated FY 2017, 2018, that we should strike 2017 from that. Are you willing to include that in your amendment?
We would like to include that in our amendment.
Okay. So again, it's a typo type issue. It doesn't change anything. Is that covered in your standard? So now we're going to vote on the amended figures and the bullet points up above, tie those together with the recap down below, and we're going to strike 2017 from the third line from the bottom. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. And that's carried unanimously. So now, we're open for discussion on, the general article as amended here, Article 15. Are there questions or comments about the proposed funding for the CPC? Okay.
Hi, Chris Vanasco for Travel again. I was just curious, these community preservation funds, we just got done voting on all these other articles, which I'm assuming are from our tax revenue stream. These CPC funds, are they from the same tax revenues from the town, or are these state tax dollars that are being spent?
I'm going to recognize Dennis Clark for an explanation, and then we may ask town council to just back him up on the explanation. Could we, Maggie, could we get a microphone to Dennis 4 rows back?
Yes, Dennis Clark. The funds do come from a 3% surcharge on the taxes. It's not a 3% tax, it's a 3% surcharge, and that is matched by state funds every year. Varying amounts. We have gotten up to under 100% match. Some years it's gone down considerably now, but that didn't work.
Could you explain the term surcharge? Surcharge on what?
I think I'll let the accountant explain the surcharge. It's
Yeah, sure. It's a surcharge in addition to the tax that's already levied through general taxation. This is a surcharge where the funds are earmarked only for community preservation projects, and they need to qualify for those through the Community Preservation Committee. The funds cannot be used for anything else other than through CPC.
And is it fair to say this is authorized under a bylaw that the town meeting approved a number of years back?
That was going to be my next question.
Yes, and there was some questions about it last year, and it was reaffirmed.
So the voters of the town approved a bylaw that designated 3% surcharge. Is that on all general tax revenues? On all?
$100,000.
Residential is exempt, and it starts from $1 on the commercial property. So if you had a $5,000 tax bill and you had a $500,000 house,
okay,
the first $1,000 would be exempt, so you'd have 3% on the $4,000 or $120 a year.
And that's part of your total tax bill?
That's added to your tax bill.
But it's included in that nice bill that Michelle sends out twice a year. If you read the fine print in there, sir, it's there. And it comes, if you're escrowed, it's coming out of there along with everything else.
Okay. I see. These numbers here for this year, totaling 424,000, are these typical of what the town generates each year?
The state match is definitely decreasing has decreased over time.
Oh, no, I realize that, but I mean, just the numbers that we're voting on right here, the 424,000, is that just from what the town raises? The bottom number. Open space plus historic plus community, or is that state and town put together?
State match is 130,000.
Oh, the town is 130,000, so that.
If you look below where the different reserves are specified, it says total $424,000.
Yeah.
Then the next 3 lines recap where that's coming from. So the 130,523 is the state match. Is that correct?
State match.
Yes.
It's at about 44% right now. and because there's larger communities drawing in next year, the match will probably decrease to the 15 or 20% cost.
So these numbers are typical year on year, year to year?
It's been steadily decreasing. So
Oh, with the state match, how about from the town itself? Basically, it would pretty much stay steady, right?
whatever your tax, if the tax base goes up, then the surcharge will increase.
Okay, so
Sir, if you,
from year to year, we can expect these numbers to, except for the decrease in the state match, these numbers are probably typically going to stay, or the town contribution will stay the same?
I think it's fair to say that as the real estate values change in the town of Southwick, and over time they tend to go up, this number will go up because it's a 3% surcharge on top of the assessed property valuation. Is that a fair description, Michelle? Yeah. So if all of us enjoy property appreciation, then we will also get the opportunity to pay more this month.
It's just good to know that. It's good to know.
Sir,
I'm sure it's going to play into the...
okay. Question over here. No.
I'm just saying, let's wrap it up.
Okay. Discussion on Article 15. Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote again. Recall that we amended, but it's basically typos and some minor arithmetic. All in favor of Article 15 as amended, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Carried unanimously. Article 16, to act on the report of the Community Preservation Committee, and I'm going to read the motion to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the Community Preservation General Unreserved Fund $11,872 as recommended by the Community Preservation Committee, and that is requested by that group. And what's the Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends the town to appropriate and transfer $11,872 from the Community Preservation Unreserved Fund administration and operating expenses.
Any discussion on Article 16? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Carried unanimously. Article 17, again, we're going to entertain a motion or an amendment in a moment. Article 17 is titled North Project. I'll read the motion to see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer the sum of $1 million from the undesignated CPC fund for the acquisition of said property. Said funds to be expended by the Conservation Commission and the Community Preservation Committee. And to authorize the Conservation Commission and the Select Board to submit on behalf of the town and any and all applications deemed necessary for grants and or reimbursements from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts under the Local Acquisitions for Natural Diversity Program and its specified chapter and section, and or any other state or federal programs, including those in aid of conservation land acquisition, and or any others in any way connected with the scope of this article, and to enter into any necessary contracts therefore, and to authorize the Select Board to grant a perpetual conservation restriction on said parcel of land meeting the requirements of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44B, as may be deemed appropriate, and any other statutory provisions related to the same, and to enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments as may be necessary on behalf of the town to effectuate said purchase, all subject to approval of town council. That's requested by the Community Preservation Committee. And again, for sake of discussion and entertaining the amendment, what is the Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee does not recommend Article 17.
Okay, do I have a motion on Article 17?
So moved.
And a second? Motion made and seconded. Now, who's doing the amendment? Okay, I'm going to recognize Dennis Clark again. Alec, can we get the microphone?
Dennis Clark, 75 Fred Jackson Road. I do hereby make a motion to amend Article 17 for the purpose of designating the accounts from which the total appropriation will be made. For some reason, the accounts and the dollar amounts did not get into the article, so. Second paragraph to read as follows. And that to purchase said funds to appropriate and transfer $280,039 from the Community Preservation Open Space Reserve account and $719,961 from the Community Preservation General and Reserve Fund for a total appropriation of $1 million for the acquisition of said property, said funds to be expended by the Conservation Commission and the Community Preservation Committee. And further to amend the first paragraph of the motion section of Article 17 is consistent with the amendment to the second paragraph as follows. Motion to see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer $280,039 from the Community Preservation Open Space Reserve account and $719,961 from the Community Preservation General and Reserve funds for a total appropriation of $1 million for the acquisition of said property, said funds to be expended by the Conservation Commission and the Community Preservation Committee. The remaining language of Article 17 in the motion selection of Article 17 to remain unchanged.
Do I hear a second to the amendment? Okay, motion made and seconded. I'm going to rule it a proper amendment. It's well within the scope of the original article as published in the Warwick. Basically, the proposed purchase of the real estate isn't changing, so the intent is unchanged, and the total amount has not changed. The manner in which it's being funded is being more specifically enumerated. And so it is a proper amendment, and open it up for discussion. Are there any questions about the amendment? Any questions or comments about the amendment before we vote on it? So, yep.
Bob Rochek, 21 Great Brook Drive. Dennis, what will be left in the accounts that you mentioned in the motion? What will be left in those accounts?
What will be the balance?
What will be
after
the balance?
John Wally, Chairman. About $150,000 in the general unreserved and nothing in open space until we get our new amounts of money for 2018.
Okay, so this drains the first account and almost drains the general reserve account.
If you call it 150,000, right?
Other discussion on the amendment? So, again, I'm not going to read it back to you. I think it's more of a technical amendment to specify exactly where the funding comes from than it is the substance of it. We're going to get the vote on the main motion in a few minutes after discussion on that. So all in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed say no. So the amendment is unanimously passed. And now we're open for discussion under Article 17 as amended. And would the representatives of the CPC or the Conservation Commission like to speak to the proposal? You don't have to. Okay.
Hi, Christopher Pratt, Chair of the Southwick Conservation Commission, 152 Berkshire Ave. We are extremely in favor of this project. Using open space funds from the CPC is, I think, why we voted this in as a town in the first place, so that we can preserve the aesthetics and rural feel that we have in the town, also so that we can have it for public use. If this was denied, the land would not be for public use. It would still be as a private parcel, even though it may not ever get developed. This would open it up to public use. You'd have trails and access to the lake from that end of the pond. It would also provide contiguous land from the state acreage from wildlife for the wildlife, all the way to the lake, the grasslands and forest to the lake. So we would have some great connectivity.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for, Mr. Phelps here first. Ally, if you recall, right over here.
Marcus Phelps, 28 Depot Street, elected member of the Planning Board and a representative from the Planning Board to the Community Preservation Committee. As was already mentioned in Article 15 that was passed, we are projecting money coming in from the town surcharge on the taxes plus the state funding, which total about $425,000 for fiscal year 2018. And of that, I would estimate about $325,000 will be available for open space and the unreserved account. And adding $150,000, which is the balance, we would have about $475,000 available for new projects. The Community Preservation Committee has a continuous application process. So we do, when we meet, consider any applications that have been submitted. And we did consider this one from the Franklin Land Trust, and the committee voted to recommend that the town meeting spend $1 million for this property. It's a very important piece of property. It's the last remaining lakefront property on North Pond that's undeveloped. And the key word we want to keep in our minds is water. It's an excellent, excellent resource for water, which in the next 20 or 25 years, from a planning standpoint, is going to be critical. It's going to be a limiting factor for many communities. And thankfully, Southwick is blessed with a good water supply, and we need to keep it safe.
Alan, and have you run back up to the middle of the room there.
It's my exercise for the day. Appreciate it. You already are. Deborah Herring, Free Shore Road. I am the president of Citizens Restoring Hawaiian. We are a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to help preserve and protect the health of the lakes. Our membership recently voted to support the purchase of the North Pond land. We have donated $3,000, which is more than our yearly membership fees, to this project. And a new member donated another $1,000 because we all feel strongly that our lakes need to be healthy and clean, and putting more buildings up there, if we do not purchase this property, would only degrade the lakes. And if we did not purchase it and a developer purchased it, there would be, the health of the lakes would deteriorate due to lawns of very expensive houses, the chemicals. There's no sewers planned for that area in the foreseeable future. And CRC and its membership feels very strongly that we should support this project. Thank you.
So other discussion, maybe down front here, yeah. Al's got the microphone for you.
Laura Zides, 19 North Pond Road, Southwick. My husband and I live on North Pond, and you're going to say, oh, well, they live, of course we're going to vote for it. Not necessarily, yes, we are voting for it. Because we're not selfish. Shame on the selectmen.
That's a finance.
Let's get to your point, ma'am.
Please. On good days, during the nice weather, there are a minimum of 54 pontoon boats that just pull up over there, and they're all families. and you hear the kids jumping in the water. So 54, and say there's about 4 on each boat or whatever, you're looking at over 300 Southwickians having fun. Not only that, since the tunnels have opened up, that brought the traffic to us. Traffic's not so great, but it's great for the people. It's great for the kids. And to take that away and have condos built or whatever is going to do more wear and tear on the roads, more teachers, bigger schools. You just don't wear blinders. North Pond, the water is spring fed. You know what it's like to go in and you can feel fresh water coming up from the ground, and you want to destroy this? I don't think that's very intelligent, especially for the future. I hope that all of you are like George and I, and not just thinking of yourselves, but we're being narrow-minded. We don't. Think of people, think of youth today that enjoy it, and when they have kids and they tell their kids, this is what I used to do too when I was young.
Okay, 8 hands over, this side of the road, gentlemen back here, Chris.
I just got a couple things. I'd like to commend the CPC and especially John Wiley. I know he's done a really great job in preserving the open space in Southwick, and I think this is one project that definitely deserves backing and support. Speaking of the lake, I grew up on the lake. I'm 55 years old now, and when I was a little kid, growing up on Middletown, which runs the length of Berkshire Avenue, there was not even half the houses you see on the lake now like we do now. And it used to be so much more of a pleasant experience to go swimming down there. And in fact, Middletown too is spring fed, whether you know that or not, because I've swum from the Congamon Heights Association beaches, and you can feel the nice cold spring water coming up in there as well. And the only thing that I wanted to say about designating the entire $1 million cash, I do notice that the Finance Committee recommended against it, and I don't want to poo-poo that recommendation entirely. And I was just wondering, as a point of inquiry, do you have to designate the entire $1 million towards this project? Or is there a way to, I mean, and I'd like to see it done, and I know the town has done a lot of fundraisers and everything, but should we designate the entire fund? That's my only question. But if it is the only way to do it, and if it's the only way that can be done, I would definitely vote for it, because I think it's a grand idea. And to reserve that open space, that's something that over the years, I guess, we've somewhat moved to do in this town. We've restricted some development. I think it's a great idea. And keep up the good work over there.
So I'm going to recognize Mr. Wally, and then I am going to recognize.
I would just like to withdraw the condemnation of everyone on stage. Let's do that after the vote.
Representative of the Finance Committee, I'm going to recognize somebody. I think it's appropriate to provide an explanation.
About Project 21 Great Brook Drive. Just to answer your question about the $1 million, do we need the whole $1 million? I think Mr. Waller can corroborate this. We're about 1.8 million short. I think we have about 1.6 or something from the Commonwealth. That's added to this $1 million plus some other grants. So I think we're at about 3 and a quarter. The two appraisals came in at 4.9 and 5 million respectively. Those are best case appraisals. So in other words, they didn't take into consideration any conservation restrictions, any perk test, or anything relative to what the real value of the land is. It just was in a perfect world, this is what the value of the land was. And the 4.9 million had like 85 house lots, and the second one had 23 house lots.
But for the town to go forward.
Wait, sir, I will recognize you again, but we're going to maintain some decorum here. So let's get the microphone back up to Chris. A follow-up there, and then I'll recognize Dennis.
No, I'm just curious as to whether or not it's like use or lose. Do we have to commit to the million right now to go forward with it?
Okay, so I'm going to recognize Dennis for the answer to that question.
Very good question. Yes, we lose it if we don't appropriate the $1 million tonight. We'll lose the project. It's a $5 million project with 3 appraisals. They all came in either over or at 5 or just a little below. So it is a legitimate price. It's done by approved appraisers. And yes, if we don't vote on it tonight, we will lose the project.
And I agree with you guys. Why do we set
Thank you for asking.
Why do we set the money aside?
Okay, let's continue the discussion with other people. Mike McMahon.
Michael McMahon, 30 Lauren.
And then Andrea, I'll do you next.
Okay. Michael McMahon, 30 Lauren Lane. I do not live on the lakes. I do not own a boat, and I have no relatives who live on the lake. But I think if you look at this document, which is it's on the town website, and it was on the table here tonight. It's the pros and cons from the finance committee. If you go to this article, Article 17, it talks about during a recent school feasibility study done by an independent nonprofit organization, the report showed that there were no significant building projects in Southwick, Randall, or Tower. Hence, unlike what the proponents of North Pond project would lead you to believe, there are no developments even being looked at by the planning board, so that the supposed danger of the park being developed seems remote. Now my comment. This is what we put there. Obviously, by looking at a report which was commissioned by the school committee, the report was bogus to start with. So now if you actually look at reality, if you spoke to the town planner or if you spoke to any member of the planning board, they would tell you that currently there is a project under construction behind Big Y to build 26 houses. That in itself is a significant project. And if you go on Realtor.com, they're selling those lots for $119,000 or more on each lot before you build anything on them. So the reality is, there is development going on in town. If you go up around the ranch golf course, there are $600,000 to $800,000 houses being built. They're actually being built, and they're actually selling. How people want to vote on this issue is up to them, but by handing out to the public statements that talk about that there is no development and there are no plans is simply incorrect, or worse, intentionally falsifying. So,
okay.
Andrea Scully, on Castle Street in Southwick. We had an opportunity as a town to buy the same parcel of land when King, who owned it originally, was willing to sell it. The town voted it down. It was a much lower price. We now have an opportunity, which may have never come again, to purchase this land. Many of you don't remember the first lake cleanup that was sponsored by the Citizens Restoring Congamon, the Lake Management Group. But that cleanup, before that cleanup, the businesses were going out, property values were down, the lake part of the town was considered the bad side of the tracks. You just heard what some of the houses are going for. it's not the wrong side of the tracks anymore. People are saying, well, if you build houses there, it would help the taxes. No, because water, as stated earlier, is a more important resource than oil, gas, or coal at this point in time. And if you put that many houses with what people have been talking about, you're going to ruin. You're going to pollute the lake. You're going to ruin our aquifer, which is the water supply for at least 3 towns. And what's going to happen to the property values and your tax structure? Not to buy this is a great mistake.
Other discussion? Point of order back there? Call the question. Okay, who's doing that? Okay, would you rise and please say, I move the question.
Marcus Phelps,
Now,
28.
Marcus, I recognize this gentleman back here to move the question. And I can't,
Make a motion to move.
yes, okay, is there a second to move the question? Okay, so the vote is to cut off debate and go to a vote on the Article 15, and I have to honor that motion. All right, 17. Whatever it is, we're going to cut off debate if this gentleman's motion passes. It requires a 2/3 vote, so all in favor of moving the question, cutting off debate at this time, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed say no. And I'm going to declare that a 2/3 majority. Does anybody challenge my finding? We are proceeding by standard town meeting procedure here, and this is proper. You have moved the question. At this time, I'm going to call a vote on Article 17 as amended. It requires a majority vote because we're appropriating money from the CPC accounts. So we will try it by voice first and then count if we need to later. All in favor of Article 17 as amended, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed say no. No. It is a majority vote. Would anybody, if you'd like to see a counted vote, please raise your hand. Everybody comfortable with the vote? It's a majority vote, and I heard more than sufficient to call it a majority. Okay? So we'll move ahead to Article 18. Article 18, water line easement. Again, I'm not going to read this whole article, but I think it relates to the previous one. The same town will authorize the select board to acquire an easement on behalf of the town by purchase, gift, eminent domain, or otherwise for purposes of constructing and maintaining a water line, including all matters incidental and related thereto, on a portion of the property which is purchased from the Franklin Land Trust. The exact location and size of said easement is being negotiated. Article reads further, basically laying out the parameters for the select board to execute an agreement, and that is requested by the water commissioners and the Department of Public Works. I assume there's no motion. There is? Okay.
Transfer the sum of $30,000 from water retainer to the water line.
Okay, so motion made and seconded by the Finance Committee. We are open for discussion. discussion on Article 18. Do you want to offer any explanation either from the DPW or the CPC, DPW standpoint?
Randy Brown, 95 Fred Jackson Road, DPW Director. So this goes hand in hand with the article that just passed. The water commissioners are looking to secure an easement through the North Pond property that will be used to install a new water line to connect the system on Point Grove Road, the system on Southwick Street, the South Lawn Road. That's the purpose of the easement.
So open for discussion on Article 18. Questions or comments? Requires a 2/3 vote. Okay, Mr. Wall.
John Wally, 38 Foster Road. I don't understand the $30,000. The pipeline and the well site were appraised at over $800,000. I would hope that the water department will come up with more than $30,000 to pay for an easement on the property.
You should respond to that or take it as a comment.
That's the number that the water commission voted to approve, is $30,000.
Okay, other discussion on Article 18. Okay, Dave Gunn.
David Gunn, 2 Hickory Lane. The water line easement running between South Longford and Point Grove Road, what's its purpose? What's the benefit to be gained by having it?
So the system on Point Grove Road is essentially a dead-end line. That's the end of the system. If there are ever any issues with that water system, a water line, there was a leak or a break, we had repaired that leak or break, potentially those customers to be out of service for an extended period of time. It's always good practice to have reliability in the system, have 2 points of entry to feed water from 2 different locations, and that's what this easement will provide. So we'll have water, we want to supply water to residents on Point Grove Road. We will do that through a pipeline along Point Grove Road, or also through this new potential pipeline coming up on South Lawn Road.
Sir, up in the back with the blue shirt. Yep.
Thank you. Dave Real, South Long Yard Road. So it looks like there's a big discrepancy between Mr. Wall's numbers and the DPW numbers. How do I reconcile those? What is the 30,000 based on other than it's what we said?
The $30,000 is for an easement for a new water line. So basically, I think it's a 20-foot wide easement from the end of that road, and then loop all the way up to South Lawn Road. It's all a 20-foot wide easement, and that's the value of the water purchase we're approving.
Gentleman back here, and then Marcus.
Ryan Keys, Finance. So what happens if it's $800,000 and they only broke 230? What happens? They just not build it?
I am going to ask town council to respond to, what the contingencies are here.
If the Franklin Land Trust, who owns the property, won't sell the easement to the water commissioners in the town for $30,000, then the water commissioners would have to come back before the town and appropriate more money to purchase it. That's how it would work.
Now Marcus Phelps.
Marcus Phelps, 28 Depot Street. Is the Franklin Land Trust on the floor of the town meeting? Could they speak to this?
We do have folks representing the, Rich, you want to take that? Please introduce yourself and then proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, town meeting. My name is Rich Hubbard. I'm the Executive Director of the Franklin Land Trust.
the appraised value of both the easement and a well site, a future well site for the town, did come out at over $800,000. If DPW sticks with the $30,000 number, we have to go out and raise that much more money from other sources, and it's been a very heavy lift so far. But that's the reality. It's something 30 that we have to go out and raise another $700,000 to make up the difference.
Other discussion on Article 18. I think I saw, okay, another gentleman in the back, two-thirds of the way back. Yep.
Dave Wally, Fred Jackson Road. I'm just curious, if we vote no on this, are we voting no to not give any money, or can we vote no against that quantity and ask for more? I'm just kind of confused as to what a yes vote means, what a no vote means.
If you vote down this article, then you would not authorize the acquisition of the easement or the appropriation of money. So it would result in no dollars being used from the water retained earnings to purchase the easement. The easement would not be purchased. If there's the ability to amend a warrant article, as you've seen done earlier, but that I leave up to the discretion.
And over here.
Ken Plumley, 16 Bath Road, Southwick. Are we talking about the same land that we've just voted $1 million to try to buy?
Yes.
And if we're successful in procuring that land, the town, do we still need to buy it now or appropriate money for it?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Very good question, because this is essentially a two-part transaction with regard to this property, and it's going to be acquired in fee in total, and then a portion is going to be sold to the town. It's a total of about 148 acres. So about the 62 or 67 acres that was previously voted on in Article 7, 61.63 acres, would be sold to the town by the Franklin Land Trust, which is the entity that's going to purchase the entire fee. Prior to the Franklin Land Trust transferring or selling the property to the town, because of the conservation restrictions and other restrictions that need to be placed on the property when the town uses the $1 million to purchase it, these easements and various rights of way would need to be in place prior to that acquisition occurring. Otherwise, it could violate various restrictions that are required for the $1 million. So this is the appropriation of money to authorize the purchase of that easement so that it can be done simultaneously with the acquisition of the property.
Thank you. Okay, other discussion on Article 18, Charlie Dunlap. Charles Dunlap, 6 Pine Hill Road.
How would eminent domain come into effect after all transactions are over?
Well, it's been a while since I've been in law school, but that one, it would be an interesting dilemma that the town would be placed in, because the town would be the owner of the property, and it would be subject to various regulations and restrictions based on a conservation restriction that it's giving to someone else. If it violates the restriction, then the entity holding the restriction, which I believe in this case would be the Department of Fish and Wildlife, could try to enforce the restriction and not let the water easement go forward. It could be a major issue in the future.
Other discussion on Article 18? Seeing none, I'm going to call a vote. Required. Okay, ma'am. You gotta get your hands up, because we've gotta move along here.
I apologize. Laura resides on 19 North Pond Road, Southwick. Please correct me on this, because I know women know everything, but sometimes 1% not. Now, on this easement, if we have an easement there, as it says, it limits what could be done to that property. So like the town couldn't decide or whatever, they want to put this there or that there because there is an easement. No? So it doesn't limit it, huh?
Conservation restriction.
So it's conservation. So what would you want to do if there wasn't an easement there?
We either have a water line or we don't.
Okay, any last call here, please raise your hand. Okay, Art Pennell.
Why couldn't the water line easement be written into the conservation easement, restriction? Why couldn't that be part of the land? And then the town wouldn't have to be buying a water line easement from the town. That's something that's feasible or no?
It's extremely difficult to do, unfortunately. The conservation restrictions that are in place by the land grant don't provide for the easements and would have to be specifically negotiated, and that could jeopardize other funding that's being obtained through this whole process as well.
Okay, thank you.
Done.
David Gunn to Waverly Lane. I would certainly like to see an easy solution to this. I don't know if there is one. What I'm wondering is this a matter that could be tabled? I mean, we're not talking about having to do the approval of the easement until the actual land purchases is in place, if I'm correct. And I would like to recognize Elaine Petteroy from Franklin Land Trust to possibly qualify.
No, you request.
I would request that we let Elaine Petteroy elaborate on that.
Okay, so can we get, is it Elaine?
Hi, Elaine Peteroy from the Franklin Land Trust. The water line easement, we're looking at this as an opportunity. We had understood that the town was interested in connecting the two areas with this easement. This is the time to do this, water line easement. It will be a 20-foot right-of-way, as Randy described, that will be along the dividing line between the parcel that the town is hoping to purchase if we're successful in fundraising, and the parcel that Fish and Game is going to own. So it will be along the boundary line. Plus the well site. This is an opportunity. People were speaking about the water. We are also offering the town to reserve a well site on the land that the town owns. These two things have to be done after we buy it, if we raise the $3 million, plus with the town $1 million in CPA. If we're successful in buying the land, we will then grant the easement for the water line easement and the future well site to the town. Then we will sell the land, the conservation land, about 82 acres, to the town, and then the town will give a conservation restriction to Fish and Wildlife. Once that is all done, nothing else can happen to the land. It's open to the public for hiking and fishing and recreating. The water line easement and the well site are there for whenever the town wants to exercise those rights. So it needs to be voted on. The $30,000 is a bargain sale for the town. It's not the value of it. We're happy with that amount right now, and need to vote to do that so that we can move forward with this project as well.
Thank you. So, okay, Dick Reynolds over here. I haven't heard from you tonight.
Dick Reynolds, Berkshire Avenue. I'd like to move the question.
Oh, okay, thank you, Dick. Didn't quite hear you. Is there a second to the motion? Second. Okay. So again, motion to move the question. It's not debatable. Requires a 2/3 vote. We do that by voice. So all in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. So we're going to proceed to a vote on Article 18. Requires a 2/3 vote. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed, say no. No. I'm going to declare that a 2/3 majority. Does anybody question, would anybody request a counted vote to reaffirm my determination? Then Article 18 passes by a 2/3 majority vote. Going to move ahead to Article 19 to see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer the sum of $73,000 from the CPC unreserved funds for a 10% local match towards the purchase of an agricultural preservation restriction of 34.8 acres of farmland on Larrow Road and North Longyard Road. APR is valued at $730,000. The state of Massachusetts APR program is paying $657,000. Refers to the Registry of Deeds and associated information. Motion to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $73,000 in accordance with the recommendation of the Community Preservation Committee. Is there a Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends the town to appropriate some $73,000 to acquire the residential property. Agricultural preservation.
Okay, open for discussion on Article 19. Question or comment? Okay, Mike?
Just to raise, Michael McCann, 30 Alarm Lane, just a simple question. Who is the owner of these properties? Don't tell me LLCs. Is it John Smith, John Jones, Mary?
Thomas McLaughlin.
Other discussion on Article 19? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. Requires a majority. All in favor of Article 19, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Carried unanimously. Article 20. To see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5K, which authorizes the Select Board to establish a program to allow persons over the age of 60 to volunteer to provide services to the town in exchange for a reduction in the real property tax obligations of such person over 60 in an amount not to exceed $1,500, or take any other action requested by the Finance Committee and Select Board. Is there a recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends the article as well.
Okay. Open for discussion on Article 20. By the way, those children that are leaving the room, we've had several children here tonight. They've been exceptionally well behaved. Nice going. I love having kids here when I think they can learn something from the process, and obviously they're well behaved, so I won't say that. I miss the other ones much younger since then. So anyway, open for discussion on Article 20. Raise your hand if you wish to comment there. Otherwise, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $10,885,951 for the Southwick, Collin, Granville Regional School District assessment for fiscal year 2018 commencing July 1, 2017 and ending on June 30th, 2018. Take any action there on. That's requested by the Southwick, Collin, Granville Regional School District.
Finance Committee votes to raise the appropriate the sum of $10,885,951 for the Southwick, Collin, Granville School District assessment fiscal year 2018.
Okay, is there a representative of the regional school committee to, to present and/or take questions? Way in the back. Okay, then if you'd like to address the budget here, and then we'll address questions to you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jennifer Willard, Superintendent of Schools, and I have Steve Presnell with me, Business Manager. First, I'd like to thank you for staying. I know it's been a long evening. I just want to give you some highlights of this year's budget. A lot of times we come to you with just numbers, and I won't be long, but I just want to let you know some of the highlights of our budget this year really focus on education and improving instruction in the classroom. In this year's budget, we are adding 2 additional educational coaches, which aren't on the sports field, but they go in the classroom, so they really support our teachers in improving instruction so that the learning that is going on is more rigorous and the students are thinking more. We're calling it cognitive engagement. So we really put some money towards that. We're also putting more money towards professional development for our teachers. Also, during the public forums, during the Granville feasibility study, school utilization study, a lot came out on class size. So we did add 3 teachers in this year's budget for kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade to reduce class size there. With this budget, we did come in at 1%, about 1% less than what we were asking for this current year. What does it look like in Southwick? It's about 1/3% less than what we asked for last year at this time. So with the increase in fixed costs, health insurance, wages, we're coming to you requesting less money than we requested last year.
All right, you ready for some questions?
I am.
All right, thank you, Superintendent. Questions or comments about the proposed regional school assessment? All right, seeing, okay, lady.
I can bring it to you.
If we can get the microphone over there.
I'm Andy, 247 Bonnie Road. I know that
If you would hold the microphone a little closer, yeah. Please.
Okay, I know Granville wasn't very happy with something with the finances for the school budget. And could you address what Granville was dealing with and how Southwick is in relation to what Granville is complaining about?
Granville, we closed Granville Village School this year due to a decline in enrollment.
I think that's in the courts.
Can you repeat the question, ma'am, so that either of you?
I think that Granville being closed right now is going through the court system.
It is. We did receive a fact finding from the judge a week ago, and we will be going back to court on May 19th with remedies.
So it's not completely closed yet.
We are going forward with this budget with the closure of Granville Village School.
Okay, other discussion on Article 21. Raise your hands real high if you wish to speak. Otherwise, I'm going to call the vote. Okay, lady down here, we can get the microphone back there.
Chelsea Berry, 106 Close Hill Road. You stated your highlights, but I also wanted to note that it seemed like there was a lot of teachers that were removed from staff at the higher levels.
If you look at the budget, it does look like there is a net loss of teachers. That is because we did close the Granville Village School. With the declining enrollment at the regional school, we are having a loss of 2 teachers at the regional school.
Okay, any final discussion on Article 21? Seeing none, call the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no.
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 Okay. So I'm going to declare that a majority vote, which is required for this particular article. Does anybody wish to see a counted vote? Just raise your hand. Okay, then we're going to move ahead to Article 22 to see if the town of Southwick will vote not to disapprove certain additional debt authorized by the Southwick Town and Granville Regional School Committee under a vote dated April 4, 2017, which reads as follows: voted, approve authorization to incur debt by the issuance and sale of bonds or notes for the amount of $600,000 for the purchase of all items specified in the school district's fiscal year 2018 capital improvement plan, or take any other action relative thereon. That's requested by the regional school committee and the finance committee.
Finance committee recommends that the town vote not to disapprove Article 22 in the amount of $600,000.
Okay, open for discussion on Article 22. Just by way of explanation, basically you're being asked to affirm the vote of the regional school district to incur this debt in their FY 2018. So even though it says not to disapprove, you are being asked to ratify the vote that they've already taken. We've got the superintendent here. Any questions or comments?
I can bring a microphone too. Sorry, Allie.
Karen DeMayo from Rhinestone Mall. I would like the shelving explained to me here. You're asking for $600,000 of borrowing, so that would be on top of the $24.5 million budget. And in your April 4th school committee minute, Pam Peschke asked if these were estimates or if they were actual quotes, and you replied that they were estimates. And Mr. Fresno said that the committee can vote to reappropriate the funds for other purposes. So here, you're asking us to vote for these specific purposes, but you can go and change your mind and use some other funds for other reasons without coming back and asking us. Now, $200,000 you're asking for transportation, which is for a school bus. And currently, you're in negotiations, when you stop negotiating with the school bus drivers on your contract, because you like to go out outsource this. So why in the heck are you asking us for $200,000 for a new bus when you're going to get rid of the fleet? Then you go down to... Well, wait, I'm just on the whole shoving.
Okay, why don't you finish your comments, ma'am, and then we'll go to the superintendent for response. So you still have the microphone.
Now down to $100,000 for the playground. They have $100,000 in their budget, and they came to the CPC asking for about $160,000. They came forward with no quotes whatsoever. They came back with something from the original school project, $290,000, which the town voted down because they did not want to incur that debt. So now they're trying to get the town to come up with that funds there. And also in the school committee minutes, Mr. Holman informed the committee that the district is planning to apply to the Community Preservation Act for this funding. And if that is approved, they can reallocate the funds for other purposes. So here's these line items, and they just keep telling us that they can appropriate and use these funds for other purposes. So why are we telling them that we're giving them permission to borrow $600,000 when what's on this paper is bogus?
Okay, now I'll recognize...
Thank you. I'm sorry you were misinformed. We are still in contract negotiations with transportation. I don't know where you got that information from. In fact, we met with their negotiator today. As far as buses go, as you know, we closed Granville Village School, and we are going to need to get buses. $200,000 is not one school bus. It's multiple buses, and it's what we put in the budget year after year. It's completely transparent. End of year expenditures, you can come, you can speak, and you can make a meeting with Mr. Fresno, and he'd be more than happy to go through everything with you. As far as the playground, it's going to cost about $275 to $290 to do the Powder Mill School playground. We're not coming to you for the whole amount. The Powder Mill staff and the PTO is raising money on their own because they believe in this. We are looking for $100,000 out of the capital. We also went to the CPC for some additional funds because it is going to be a community space. We want to make it ADA appropriate. We'd like to make some shade. We'd like it to be a community place for the town. So that's what our plan is for the playground. Right now it is currently underwater anytime it rains and it's unusable. Our first estimate that we did receive, and you are correct, we didn't have all the information when we went to the CPC. We have received 2 estimates, and just for the playscape equipment is over $113,000, $114,000. And that doesn't even touch the surface that we have to put under it. Bark mulch is not the way to go anymore, especially when we're talking about ADA. It also doesn't talk about addressing the landscape for where the playscape needs to go, which is estimated at over just $100,000 alone. So this is a town project. It's not something the school can take on by themselves. The parents at our school are more than willing to do what they can. They have golf tournaments for it. I appreciate the conversations I've had with the members on the CPC, and we're doing what we can on our end to get you the information that you're looking for. Together we will make the Powder Mill Playscape a pretty fabulous place for the children in our town. I'm not quite sure, the shell game. I'm not quite sure about that. I will let Steve address it, but I know I've been here a year, and what we have spent on capital money has always been what is in the budget. We've spent it on technology, we have spent it on transportation, we have made some physical improvements to schools. I'm not quite sure what else people are suggesting that's being spent on, so I will turn this over to Steve.
Stephen Presnell, Business Manager for Southwick and Granville Regional Schools. So this article is on authorizing the school committee, the school district to borrow $600,000 for the items identified in the capital improvement plan that was voted on by the committee back in early April. The committee does have a certain amount of discretion to move funds between these line items, but they would not add any additional new line items, or funds could not be spent for items not already identified on this plan.
Okay, other discussion on Article 22. I'll allow a brief follow-up, ma'am.
I would also like to know why we are borrowing $600,000 when you have just reported that you're going to have, by the end of this year, $800,000 in a reserve account, and then also because of mismanagement of funds, about $180,000 is going to be returned to the 3 towns. So why do you need us to borrow money when you have money available?
Great question. Every year, the town, when the school department brings their budget to you, you will see about $600,000 to $650,000 less in what we're requesting from the towns. It's actually great management of money. Each year, this year we actually brought forward $650,000 out of excess E&D, excess and deficiency, so that we could cut the assessments that we were asking for from the 3 communities for our budget. So it's actually excellent management of money.
Okay, other discussion on Article 22, and we're going to go to a vote. Anything else? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. It does require a 2/3 vote since it's authorization of debt. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. No. We are going to do a counted vote, so if my counters would rise. So all in favor of Article 22, please raise your hands. Keep them there until counted. Charlie, what do you got?
17.
17. And Chris? Those opposed, please raise your hands. Keep them there until fully counted. Charlie, what do you got? Two. Center, Chris? 11. And on the right, Michael? 2. So the vote is 63 yes, 15 no. That's a 2/3 majority. Motion is successful. Going to move ahead to Article 23, and it is a bylaw proposal or a bylaw amendment regarding open containers of alcohol. And it starts at the bottom of page 9, goes on top of 10, specifies prohibited acts, specifies violations and penalties, and that is requested by the police department and the select board. Do I have a motion? And a second. Motion made and seconded. Would the chief or somebody wish to...
In front of the kids, getting a little inebriated. So we want to have a tool on our belt that will hopefully prevent this from happening in the future.
Okay, open for discussion on Article 23, open container bylaw. Mr. Phelps, and then we'll go to Mr. Johnson.
Marcus Phelps, 28 Depot Street. Does this apply to open containers on boats on the Conemaugh Lake?
Did you hear the question, Chief?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's public beaches, as far as the lakes go, it would be the boat landings and everything else, but if they're in their boats within the lake, they're perfectly fine. Just as long as they're not operating a boat under the influence.
Okay, and same question, okay. Any other discussion on Article 23? Gentleman in the back with the blue shirt, can we get a microphone over there? Yeah.
Dave Grill, South Lawn Yard. I understand the motivation, but is PI or disorderly conduct not sufficient to deal with someone who's inebriated?
If you go the route of disorderly, then you're going to have a person getting a criminal record, which means he's got to go to court. He's probably going to have to get an attorney. This here's a civil process, which will be a little less harmful on him and the pocketbook.
Other discussion on Article 23? Okay, gentleman over here.
Joseph Mendes, Foster Road. If your concern is people being inebriated in public, why is this bylaw not against public inebriation instead of open containers?
I didn't hear his question.
If your concern is people being inebriated in public, why is the bylaw not a civil bylaw against public inebriation instead of open containers, which is not the same thing?
No, just the open container is what we're concerned about. Usually if we can prevent that open container, then we're going to obviously prevent something else from happening.
Okay, and the gentleman up here. About halfway back with his hand raised. Yes, sir. And are you raising your hand over there, sir?
So currently, I just want to understand the law. So currently, if I'm drinking at a park, you can't do anything, correct? Unless I'm drunk or causing a problem.
Correct.
So if I'm causing a problem, there's something you can do or you can't do?
Well, obviously, if you're causing a problem, we can arrest you for disorderly.
I'm just concerned, I mean, $100 fine for a beer, like, I mean, that seems, is there like a warning process, or is it just a straight up fine immediately?
There's no warning process, it's a straight fine.
Okay.
Okay, did I see a hand raised over here on the right? No, okay. Anybody else? Last call on Article 23. Okay, there is somebody.
Yeah, Michael Smith, 75 Hillside Road. I commend the chief for his work on this, and
I assume that he and all his police officers know their business, know their job, have been an experience, and we should support them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands raised, I'm going to call the vote. It requires a majority vote. All in favor of Article 23 as presented to you here, please say aye. Aye. And opposed, say no.
No.
Again, I'm going to count that. I'm quite certain we have a majority, but would the counters rise? And those in favor of Article 23, please raise your hands. Did you get the stage, Charlie? Okay.
26.
26. And Chris?
33.
33. And Michael?
80.
18?
80.
And those voting no, please raise your hands. What do you got, Charlie? 2. 2. And Chris? 8. 8. And Michael?
9.
9. So that vote is 67 to 19. It is carried by a majority. So let's move ahead to Article 24, and the Select Board is going to withdraw this article, so I will permit a motion to postpone indefinitely.
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and do you want to offer a brief explanation or just go to a vote?
I think we can go to a vote.
Okay, so we're just going to take Article 24 off the warrant with no further discussion tonight. Motion made and seconded. Requires a simple majority to do so. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. And that's carried unanimously. So Article 25, common driveway moratorium deletion. To see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 185 Code of the Town of Southwick by deleting Section 185-23.3 in its entirety, and further that non-substantive changes to the numbering of this bylaw be made in order to make it consistent with the numbering format and sequencing of the Code of the Town of Southwick or any other action relative thereto. That's requested by the Planning Board. Where's the chair of the Planning Board? Thank you. Okay, Ross, I didn't see it. So you would explain the hearing process on this, and then your recommendation, and then I'll take a motion.
For Article 25, the common driveway moratorium was actually put into place a few years back. I think it was 2 years back. And we asked for a year to pull together a common driveway bylaw. And we took less than that time, and it was on the next town meeting, but administratively we have to remove the moratorium from the bylaws at this time. So it's very administrative.
Okay, so if that's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to discuss Article 25. Is there any discussion on Article 25? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. Requires a 2/3 vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Carried unanimously. Article 26 is a medical marijuana moratorium. And again, it is in the form of a bylaw, zoning bylaw. And so I'm not going to read it all the way in its entirety, but it's titled Temporary Moratorium on Registered Marijuana Dispensaries. A provides the purpose. B is I'm not quite sure he's stuck in there, but there's a purpose anyway. And then there's some definitions there. There's a temporary moratorium, and then there's a severability clause, or take any other action relative thereto. And that's requested by the planning board. Again, I'll recognize Ross Derry.
For the explanation of...
Yeah, an explanation, and I'll take that as a motion to advance the article.
The planning board is recommending putting a medical marijuana moratorium in place. The town, the state approved the medical, well, the recreational marijuana last November. This did tie towards the medical also, so we don't have any zoning in place for this right now, and the state is working on their laws. And they had actually extended their estimated time for their the final law to be in place for March of 2018. So this moratorium would give us time. We already have a subcommittee in place. We're already going to be keeping in touch with the state and its recommendations and try to get a bylaw in place for next time. So we would recommend that we have this moratorium in place to give the planning board and its subcommittee time to get proper zoning that does work with the state.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, and now discussion, a question or comment on Article 27. Okay, down, right behind you there, Alan. There's a lady with her hand raised. Yep.
Jocelyn Lennigan, 74 Tannery Road. Let me say, I don't use marijuana recreationally. I don't intend to start. I'm not a medical marijuana patient. Nobody in my family is. I really don't have a personal interest in this. But the trend nationally is to focus on things that are more dangerous, like opiates that are killing our kids. And I think this moratorium and the next one are based on fears and perceptions that are not warranted by fact. We are losing an opportunity for tax money by prohibiting dispensaries. For the record, I wasn't in favor of the first dispensary proposal. I thought it was too novel and it didn't have safeguards. It was too close to the schools. This second one, are you aware that they were proposing to take the THC out of the marijuana? They can do that. So there was no rational reason to prohibit that. I just think we ought to kind of lay off criminalizing marijuana and fussing over it. We have other things that are more important to deal with. And we're losing an opportunity for town income with this.
Okay, other discussion on Article 6.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, okay.
Doug Mogul, 5 Hidden Place, and I had brought this issue up to the planning board at one point in time for their consideration as part and parcel of this. The people voted on this issue last November, and we need to act to respect the will of the voters of the state and our town. However, this law and the implementation of that said law is in flux. And so the reason for this moratorium is to give the town time to put forth zoning for the dispensaries and recreational if necessary, and to give the state time to promulgate the rules and regulations and laws that they are going to put forth around the citizen petition law that was passed in November. The interesting thing to me, and the reason that we have the moratorium on both is because it's getting cloudy, pardon the pun, is there was a request for a medical dispensary in town that did not materialize. That proposal did not receive a letter of support or a letter of non-opposition, if you will, from the Board of Selectmen. When the citizen petition passed, the zoning portion of that petition stated that if you allowed medicinal in the zone, you could then not disallow recreational in the same zone. So, if we had allowed that medicinal prior to the ballot initiative in November, that would have been in your business zone, I believe it was right outside of Big Y. That business zone stretches up College Highway, straight through the downtown district. I don't know that that's the right answer. Let's give the planning board the 1 year they're asking for to formulate that zoning bylaw and come back to give the state time to promulgate their rules and regulations. Give the planning board their time to set up their zoning, okay? And we can come back at the town meeting to decide on that proposed bylaw. Thank you.
Okay, other discussion on Article 26. Gentleman back here, you get the microphone. You're right.
Hi, Ryan Keys, More Vining. I was actually at the planning board meeting, one of 2 residents in town that showed up. At the meeting, it was explained to me that their committee would be formed prior to this meeting. It never materialized.
That's not it. It is materializing. It's just that there's changes in the board, so the planning board members.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Ross, so let the gentleman finish, and then we'll give the microphone.
Again, that just goes back to the whole, I mean, this meeting, I forget when it was. I feel like it was might have been January. I'm not sure. It was so long ago. But regardless, this is just a backdoor to not allowing the law in by creating a zoning law. I mean, it's like alcohol. I don't see what the issue is here. I understand that there needs to be a law, but a year seems like an excessively long time to not allow Southwick to get into the game.
Okay, and I'm going to recognize Roz Terry, and then Ally, are you asking, are you a registered voter?
Yeah.
All right, then you'll get your chance, but Roz first, and then Ally.
I want to, the subcommittee is in process of being selected. The planning board is going to have a change in membership, so we have to be sure that we have the 2 planning board members. There's going to be a selectman, Board of Health, and residents, and they will begin meeting, in this next month. We have had a lot of other things that, and it will meet on Tuesday nights, probably opposite of the Tuesday night planning board meetings, because we meet every other Tuesday. It'll be very similar to the common driveway bylaw subcommittee, I'm sure.
Okay, and the microphone over to Ally, and I'm recognizing her. Name and address, please.
Ally Sharman, 153 South Long Yard Road. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Article 26 just simply puts a moratorium on registered marijuana dispensaries, not marijuana itself. It's just the dispensaries for this particular article.
Correct. And that you're getting a response that you are correct on that, Ally.
Cool.
Any other discussion on Article 26? Is there a hand back? I see, okay, gentleman in the back, if there's somebody.
Hi, Ben Juncola, 28 Little Road. This is just a general comment. Everyone's entitled, obviously, to their opinion. I'm a veteran, and I'm an American Legion member, and the comment I would like to make about medical marijuana is in reference to other veterans, especially veterans coming back from the wars that we are fighting in the Middle East, and many of them have an awful lot of problems. 2 things that I understand to be true from studies that have been done across our country is that a lot of veterans who have been put on medical marijuana to help them deal with the issues and problems of the things that they dealt with overseas. 2 things resulted from their being put on the medical marijuana. One was it reduced the amount of opioid, I'll use the word correctly, abuse. And the other one that it reduced significantly was the number of suicides. A lot of veterans, including myself, believe that medical marijuana being used to treat these problems that the veterans have happened to them is significant, and it's reducing other problems which involve suicide and abuse. So I'm just asking people to think and carefully before they decide something that is beneficially medical is trivialized into something that's extremely dangerous. There's a much different perspective to something that's extremely dangerous. But even within the veteran community, there's a lot of disagreement in it. But for those people that it has helped, and for those people that are advocating, I feel sincerely it is beneficial. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, gentleman in the center, blue shirt, yeah.
Dave Real, South Longyear. Just a practical question. What's the implication of moving before the state gives guidance next March? Would that be unneeded churn for, say, business owners who would open up a dispensary? I just worry about what that implication would be.
Roz, do you wish to respond to that? And get a microphone over to her.
It could cause issues, and as a veteran planning board member, it's nice to have laws on the books that are defendable and fair and fit with the state laws. We can't go further than what the state does. We'll hear what they have to say, and then we'll figure out where it fits in our town. It is not the intent, I can tell you, of anyone on the planning board to go against what the town voted. We're not trying to outlaw it. We just want to make sure that we know where, as planning board members, we're a volunteer planning board, and we just want to be able to have good guidance as to where the town would like to have these different facilities. Not that they're not going to be there. The subcommittee meetings, just like the planning board meetings, will be open to the public. They will be advertised, and we would like to have input from residents as to where it would be a good idea and how we can fit it into our zoning, so that not only the planning board next year, but the planning board for the next 25 years knows what they're supposed to do when an application comes before them for either a medical marijuana facility or for recreational marijuana. We just want to have the right tools, and we want to have time to develop them. That's all we're asking.
Okay, one more, and up in the back, and then we're going to vote on Article 26.
Hi, Gina Patterson, Hunters Ridge Circle. I just have a quick question in terms of, I'm very sympathetic to the medical marijuana. Where are the closest dispensaries that you could potentially get medical marijuana?
I guess if you have an answer to that question, I'm going to recognize you, sir.
Currently, there's the closest local one is Northampton. It actually employs 60 people at a $15 an hour plus wage. And if you've ever gone by the place, the parking lot is packed every day, 7 days a week.
So there is the ability to get medical right now.
Correct, and within the law, because the dispensary is so far away, you actually can do home grows, because it's considered, trying to get the correct word, hardship, thank you, a hardship, because it's actually so far. There is a proposed one in Holyoke, but also there's a big issue with unregistered delivery services currently active in the area that are saying that they're licensed.
So you can't get it.
Okay, yeah, we're not going to get into a thing with that. I'm going to recognize the lady back here, or over on this side, and then we really are going to vote this thing.
Deb DeBay, 30-year Coy Drive. Just these questions that are asked right now give me reason to say that we need to say no to this right now and allow this planning board to do their job.
Yes,
Ma'am, I urge you to reconsider what you just said. I think what you're asking for is for us to pass this issue, to give the planning board time. Thank you very much.
We're going to vote on Article 26, which is a temporary moratorium on registered marijuana dispensaries, as laid out on most of page 11, a little bit over on page 12. So if you vote yes, it would establish the temporary moratorium as outlined. If you vote no, there would not be any moratorium. Requires a 2/3 vote. All in favor of Article 26, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed say no.
No.
I'm going to declare that a 2/3 majority vote. Would anybody like to see you want to count it? Okay. So if the counters would rise, all those in favor of Article 26, please raise your hands and keep them there. Charlie, did you get the stage?
Yes, I did.
Okay, how many you got?
26.
26. And Chris, what do you got?
39.
39. And on the right side, Michael?
15.
15. Thank you. Those who vote no, please raise your hands. Keep them there. Charlie?
2.
2. And Chris? 4. 4. And Michael? 5. 5. It is passed by a 2/3 vote of 80 to 11. So with that, we move on to Article 27, which is a recreational marijuana moratorium. And again, I'm going to recognize Roz Terry to speak to that one, and I will take your recommendation as a motion.
Roz Terry, Chairman of the Southwick Planning Board. I'd just like to make a motion for the same reasons the last time. This is this hand in hand. If we're going to do one, we need to do them together. They have to be able to work together.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, open for discussion on Article 27. And from the description, it's a mirror image to the medicinal marijuana moratorium. David.
Thank you. David Gunn, 2 Hickory Lane. This is a question direct towards Roz. Are we really dealing with dispensary discussion here, again, with respect to recreational marijuana? Or are we talking about limiting the personal
No, this is
growth?
for like a retail sales
Okay.
of recreational marijuana.
So it's strictly zoning in regards to establishments to sell the product.
Oh, and yeah, it's, the cultivation, distribution, if the facility was going to do all that. It's a facility, though, for purchase. It's not.
Okay. As far as personal use to grow their own under the right conditions, whether it's private. Okay. This has nothing to do with it. Thank you.
Okay, other discussion under Article 27. Okay, sir?
I'd like to also say that there is, the state's limiting this till next year already. So I don't really know why we would need a bylaw on the books when the state's already limited.
Okay, any other discussion under Article 27? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote again. Requires a 2/3 vote. All in favor of Article 27, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no.
No.
That's carried by a 2/3 vote. Move on to Article 28. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a lease for all or a portion of the following properties. 1, 13 Liberty Lane, consisting of approximately 0.515 acres of land. The assessor's map and lot number is specified. Land off of Foster Road, consisting of approximately 31 acres of land, and again shown on the assessor's map and registry of deeds. For a term not to exceed 20 years, which shall include option periods, and further to authorize the select board to negotiate the terms of said lease subject to approval by town council and after compliance with Massachusetts general laws, chapter 30B, and any other relevant provisions of the general laws requested by the select board. Do I have a motion and a second? Can we have a brief description of what's going on?
Sure, Mr. Moderator. This article authorizes the select board to enter into a long-term lease for these town-owned open space parcels for the installation of a cellular tower. The town has been approached by a large cellular carrier who wishes to increase capacity service for customers in this geographic area of town, and in order for us to consider doing this, we'd have to have this approved, and if this were to be approved by people, then the town would issue an RFP bid document for any and all interested carriers to submit a bid. Any prospective bidder must file with the planning board for the necessary permits and public hearings with the abutters' input to seek approvals before an agreement could be entered into.
Okay, so there's your explanation. Is there a question or a comment on Article 28? Okay, so you can pop up back here, so if we could get a microphone back there, please.
Sal Simone here, Ron. Where would the cell towers be, and what would the type of construction and size of the towers be compared to the aesthetics of the neighborhood?
I'll hand it over to the planning board in a minute, but this was a carrier that's looking at the open space that the town owns, the 30 acres off of Lexington Circle. So for us to consider this, they already did balloon tests and they did propagation studies to make it worthwhile for the engineering, but they would have to, we'd have to do an RFP, they'd have to respond to it, then they'd have to file with the planning board to make sure that what they were proposing to do would fall within the guidelines of the wireless services overlay district that we have. And that would be something that the planning board would be the permit granting authority, and they would regulate and monitor it.
Roz, add anything here?
I guess just that, this is just so they can go through the process to see if it's viable financially, and then the applicant would still have to apply to us. So it's not, we have a process for that also, how tall it can be, and we have a pretty long bylaw, so I can't really regurgitate it for you, but it would still go through that process.
And the gentleman down here who's in the orange shirt who's raising his hand. Microphone coming your way.
Where is that exactly?
People, sir, if you would use the microphone, they can't hear you over there.
So if you turn down Liberty Lane before you get to where Deer Run starts, there's actually a path that goes in, and there's open space in the center there. And that's the open space. It's owned by the town, and we would probably, it would have to fall into all the parameters for a cell tower, but they have to go through this process because it's the town owned property.
Anything else on Article 28? Lady over here with her hand raised next to Sal. You're next.
Mary Ann Pisonati, Deer Run. That's a horrible location.
That's not what's before us right now, really. What's before us is just for the town to see if
they can even do it. It is part, when we did the overlay district for the wireless cell phone district, we included all town properties just for the possibility of providing the town with that option, both for town facilities and or income. But it's not a done deal. It's just we put all of the town properties, and then we had a wireless district. So it just happens to fall in there, and one of the carriers is looking at it. So we, it's up to the Board of Selectmen whether they want to consider it or not.
So I don't get what
we're voting on allowing the Board of Selectmen to be able to get a bid.
We would need authorization to enter into a lease with any carrier that bids on this and gets a permit from the planning board. So without town meeting approval, we would not go through that process and expend that effort and attorney's fees and all the other documents in preparing an RFP.
And then from there, how do town people have input into the location of it?
The carrier we would put all town parcels that are listed under the overlay district, because there is interest also, I believe, on the school parcel, but this is the only vendor that has expressed interest. So once something's filed, they would have to file with the planning board, and people who are in an area that would be abutters would be notified by certified mail to go attend that hearing and give their input.
Okay, Art, no. Okay, and gentleman down here.
Joseph Mendes, Foster Road. Is it, two questions, is it known which carrier is asking this? And second, is it known whether multiple carriers could build towers, for example?
It's Verizon Wireless is the carrier. In the way the planning board has this zoning bylaw district set up, if one carrier puts a tower up, then other carriers would be entitled to work an agreement out with them to co-locate.
Oh, okay, lady up back, Ally, can we get the microphone back up to,
Karen, madam, if you're saying that this can be done on any of the town-owned property, why did you specifically put in here 13 Liberty Lane and the land off of Foster Road? If the land off of Foster Road is right smack dab in the middle of a residential neighborhood of about 200 homes.
The wireless carrier identified that geographical area of town as needing the improved cellular service. They came to us.
But you just told Mrs. Simone that this is going to be looked at all the property in Southwick, but you have two specific pieces of property listed here. So what is it? Is it these two specific properties, or is it the whole town? Because if it's the whole town that you're looking at to be able to lease, you need to reword this.
okay, Roz, for a response, and then I'll recognize you over here.
I don't know if this helps at all, but when they do come before us for their application, they have to prove to us that they add a significant amount of coverage. So they can't just come and say, you know, we want to put one over here and one over here. We have denied cell tower applications in the past because they have not fallen within the bylaw and added adequate, you know, more coverage. We have really tried to restrict the number of them. As they said, that the carrier probably identified that location in all their studies and complaints or whatever, people saying my calls dropped. For whatever reason, they're looking at that area, probably because of all the residents. So, you know, I mean, we'll do our best to try to, you know, make sure that it's not a done, you guys can vote on it and see what you want to do.
You're saying two different things. You're saying
It's two different processes.
and you're saying two specific properties.
Okay, we're going to move on. Lady over here, I'm going to recognize, so let's get a microphone first.
Elaine Regaggio, 3101. I wonder if there might be a better location in spite of the fact that they've identified that one. That doesn't mean it's a good location. It is a neighborhood. I live there. My cell phone works fine. We really need this thing.
Okay, and now the gentleman in the blue shirt in the middle, and then we'll come back over here.
I think there might be a little confusion. If I understand correctly, you guys put on a map the places in the town that were available, and then the cellular company said those two interest me. Is that what's happened here? So it's not, we're not trying to be misled. They just identified to the cellular carriers, these sites are available, and the cellular carrier said these two are appealing to us. And so that's, is that correct, is why you look at these two leases?
Exactly.
And it
And just to clarify a little bit, these two are contiguous parcels. The reason why there's two is because there's access to the larger piece. One piece is only 0.13 acres or something extremely small to get access to it. And you're exactly right as to all the property that's available. This was one that was targeted.
it makes sense that the cell towers need to be where the congestion is. It would be great if we put them in the middle of nowhere, so I understand the need.
Okay, Mr. Wall.
Tom Wally, Foster Road, we need better service on Foster Road, and I'd like to move the question.
I'm not even going to take a vote. I think we adequately discussed the article here. Requires a majority vote. So all in favor of Article 28, please say aye. Aye. And those opposed say no. No. That's carried by a majority, a strong majority. But I do recognize the dissension there. But that brings us to the end of the warrant. We have two other items of business here before you pack up and leave. Again, I want to thank the high school folks for helping us out with microphones. They got a good workout here tonight. Thank you to them.